probably going to have another one tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, the music was overlaying a lot.
I've also lost my hearing aid.
Well,
The music is epic.
Yeah, I didn't hear what he said.
So Jeremy, we're on. If you wanted to repeat that.
Sorry, it was a statement to the fact of Drazzles had to go back a lot of times to fix mistakes.
Yes.
And I was saying, and there's probably going to be another one tomorrow night.
Okay, another mistake.
Right.
You mean there's probably going to be another one tonight?
Well, that too.
There's usually one.
Well,
Every night.
as a player, I have not quite as much confidence on that one.
Yeah.
Because I doubt we're going to be doing anything quite so climatic tonight.
No.
In that sense.
You never know.
Yeah, it all has meaning.
Yeah.
Because that's what I try to tell people, is whatever your characters do is the important part of the setting.
Yeah.
It's not what do I have in mind as a GM. It's what your characters actually do has more meaning than anything you can imagine.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of complaint. I mentioned this when I was talking about last fortnight earlier. There's been a lot of complaints about things like the Wrath of the Immortals, because some of the things described in it, the PCs can have no part of, unless the GM adds that.
Yeah. And some GMs will do that. I know Martin has done some very special things.
Oh yeah.
But it's often reliant on, if he's got a good group that are turning up on time regularly, then he'll put the extra work in for it. But if you've got players that aren't turning up, it's a lot of work.
So we'll start with introductions, and we'll get Ariadna to introduce herself.
So that I can do the coffee.
Yes, coffee.
So I am Calcrix, the white dragon with the jazz wings. I don't know where the camera is.
You're right there, yes.
There she goes. She has her companion with her, Brenda Waffle Brewmaster. Also helps her run her coffee business on the side, and she has Eep, her friend bestowed on her by the avatar of the Queen of Darkness, also known as Herman, and looks like Cthulhu, except like 50 times the size of Cthulhu.
And every now and then you get, Bygorm!
Yes, the Bygorm, and the occasionally an utterance that reveals her true nature. And
Death in the Infinite!
right now she's feeling very determined to try and help these people escape this oncoming, seemingly inescapable master who is currently taking over all the lands where we are. That's it. I'll go make coffee.
Yes, the master himself is
Those ones
basically under so many restrictions. He can't step beyond what he's capable of.
Yes, unfortunately what he's capable of is ridiculously powerful things.
It is, but like anyone who quests for immortality, you have to accept limitations.
Yes.
The more power you gain, the more limitations you get.
We just have to figure out what his limitations are.
And how to work around them, and how to affect them, given we've got 1/3 the levels he does. Lower, actually.
I was going to say, probably much lower.
And the difference between level 29 and level 30 is a huge gap.
I can imagine.
Because once he has access to immortal level power as a class feature, he leaves them behind.
Yeah.
That's why they a breed of their own.
Are you using the Galantrian High Council as
The Alphasian High Council.
Alphasian High Council? 1,000 level 36 wizards.
Yes,
that is the single largest concentration of magical power anywhere, including in dragon nests.
The dragons can compete because their power levels are as stupid, but they don't have the.
They don't have similar limitations.
No, they don't have the grunt to throw to actually cause issue, which is where the Dragonborn come in.
Yeah.
Martin,
Yeah.
what about hazelnut?
I'm happy with hazelnut tonight. So that brings us next to Kesley.
Alrighty. I am... What am I playing?
Lonnie.
Lonnie. I was like, Kayana. No, Lonnie.
Lonnie the Islander.
Yes. So I am playing Lonnie, the human Makai fighter, weapons master. Pretty much the best at everything. Keeper of all the titles. Yeah, she's somebody who is very loyal to the people around her, especially Drazzle, and will basically just go wherever Drazzle asks her to go. And is definitely just somebody who wants to continue, not necessarily building power per
Building
se,
reputation.
but yeah, building a bit of reputation, just being known as the best weapons fighter in the world.
Champion of Clan Claw for a start.
There we go. Well, I'm already the banner holder, so whatever.
Banner holder. Yeah. Possibly also champion.
Though if she gets her own title,
Yes, I will have to give those up. You quite happily still remain a clan member if you wish,
Yeah.
but yeah, those are sort of full-time jobs. If you
Little bit.
Yeah.
And also full-time
if you become Captain Lonnie,
Yeah.
you're not going to have the other titles.
Yeah. There's that.
Yeah, and you want to be like Captain Lonnie, particularly the flying ship. Now that would be cool.
Would be cool.
just that there's not many flying ships available since Jeremy's group burnt them down.
Remember when we took that destruction?
Yeah, I know.
And then Drazzle put it in the future and then it blew up. That was fun.
Which is around this time in the timeline.
Yes.
So
Also,
it's-
now we caught up to that.
So it's happened now.
To be fair, you can't actually only blame the Wednesday night group for burning all the airships, considering they used the devastation orb provided by the Tuesday night group.
Yep.
Yes. But you aimed it.
Teamwork!
No. We supplied it. You aimed it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was destroyed was not up to us.
And they also
That's all up to you.
They also took orbs from the Friday group as well.
Oh god.
More orbs.
So that they had one of each element.
Oh god. That would happen.
They dropped 5 orbs in the time stream at almost exactly the same time each time.
That sounds
So
like
5 of them dropped at once.
that sounds like a really bad
And
idea.
until the 5th one dropped, the fracturing time was going to take out the world.
Right. So we would have to find an ancient one from a different culture and use that.
Well, the devastation orbs are time bombs that have an unknown explosion.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what they are. I'm thinking of a flying ship that no one knew existed, so they didn't know where to destroy that.
Well, it was Alfretia bringing its armada together
Oh, yeah.
to blanket bomb your region.
Yes, and they were stopped
Yeah.
very happily. If I ever find out why they did it and what the Alphatians were planning at the time, I'm going to be a little less, a little more sanguine about them.
You got away from them while they were in the middle of refitting. So when that the data magic cut out, was in the middle of them doing the refitting of all the ships to go to war. They were turning even the pleasure ships into warships.
Right, which means all the support crews as well as the actual crews got whacked.
And the city, the capital, all that thinking.
It's a bit of a poo, to an extent.
We don't do things by halves.
No.
If there was
Oh, well.
if it was a time to set the biggest blaze in history, that was the time.
Yes. Well, considering the type of war we've got at the moment, that's probably something useful to do, particularly the way Alphatia is.
Well-
There's going to be enough left of Alphatia as a country to still have a major effect.
It had no effect on the country as a whole. It just
Well, there you
took out their air fleet.
There you go.
Just slowed down their invasion force.
Yeah.
Their air fleet was big enough that even if the rest of the world got behind, went sort of against them, they would have lost. And
Unfortunately, the Wednesday group did later find out that possibly the Alphatians are not actually the big bad.
No, they're not.
Dun dun dun!
They're not. Unfortunately, from my own reading, the big bad is a group of people that some of the other gods trust for some stupid fucking reason.
No.
They have to trust all the gods to maintain the balance because that is the purpose of the gods.
Yes, and some of them are inherently untrustworthy and are abusing that trust, and the other gods won't understand it.
And Raphael is considered one of those abusing it.
So is Rad.
Brad is one that they're saying is abusing it.
Yes, and he's doing the same thing Raphael is, in a different way.
The others don't know Raphael's doing the same
I know.
thing that Brad is.
Yes, and if I find out, I'm going to give him such a roasting.
The thing is, the elves will fall if Raphael hadn't been doing it.
I know that. But he shouldn't continue. I'm not saying never start, just don't continue. Because it would be bad.
Yes and no. So that brings us to Paul.
Who is presently very conflicted in several different ways, mostly to do with things that he won't be able to do anything about for more than 10 levels. But has to worry about them the whole time. Elven, pretty boy, diplomat, warlock, party healer, and head of his own clan, which doesn't quite have lands yet, but we're getting there.
But he has got his feel in many places, and he has started setting up what he needs to do to be someone of influence in the coming story.
Which is the whole point with getting renown everywhere.
Well, he's one of the few characters who has actually set up himself to be one of influence before reaching 10th level.
Yes, that was actually one of the points that I had right from first level, was to do that because most people don't. And in a large setting like this, something like that is always going to be useful.
It will be. And so online today we have Jeremy.
I could have done it as a
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Atruaghin, the Atruaghin clansman who started out as a humble watchman of the clans, but has since been aged and developed and been appointed by Atruaghin himself to become Savior of the clans and chieftain of the Dragon tribe.
Which I'm sure he'll soon be leading in battle.
That's
apparently.
Yes.
Except that someone stole about 90% of my tribe and took them off somewhere beyond time.
Well, no, they exist in the same time as you're in now. He didn't actually take them too far from where they were.
Yeah.
He didn't take anyone from the future, he only took people from the past.
Yeah, like I did. By accident.
So in the storyline, you have since rolling around into a new year, reaching 9th level, you travelled to through Yawning into the northern reaches to recover a devastation of fire, which was then passed through time to Wednesday night's team, which then went and blew up over Alphatia, taking out their capital city and all of their armada that had been amassing to wipe out all life as we know it.
So, a hero thing.
Only a little serious, it's fine.
Well, but also, when you say all life as we know it, it's only just in this known world area. I mean, that's a pretty small part of Mystara, really.
It is, but it's all that you know of.
It's a hell of a lot of people.
But there's a good chance they wouldn't have stopped after that, because the whole remit was to, as Wednesday night found out, remove every possible worship of specific immortals from the face of the planet.
Right.
Okay.
Thereby requiring them to find other jobs.
I know.
It'll destroy them.
If it removes their access to the world.
Yes.
So they can go to other worlds, but they can't come here.
Yes. which
Yes.
yeah, it's
The technique
basically
was
when
the
you,
old traditional nuke it for all it,
yeah,
only way to be sure.
yes. But this is the thing: when you start doing that, when you start doing genocide, it becomes a religious war inherently in a war like this.
And so the catalyst of the war has been the patron of peace.
Yes.
So the literal patron of peace is the, because you remember when you were accused of killing the husband of the Empress?
Yeah.
And that's when you found out that the patron of peace was pushing for war,
Yes.
which is completely against their remit.
Seriously, I need to
Which
get in
yes,
these
or,
exact
which means they've either rationalised the hell out of it, or somebody's taught them how to rationalise the hell out of it.
Well, the religion
Well,
has no.
It's a really important cause.
Yeah, they only think it's important.
And standing against the patron for peace was the war leader of Alphatia, who's the one who was assassinated.
Yes.
So the person who leads the nation to war was standing against the temple that was for peace,
Yes.
to stop a war.
Yes.
That
really
was quite a contradiction.
Yes, which really gives an idea who's actually behind it all, because that's a very chaotic environment.
For those of us who can't remember, are we doing, or have we done the summary and I missed it?
That was part of the summary, giving them some information of why certain things were happening,
Yep.
because it doesn't help that I have all the knowledge and memory, and some of you guys have busy lives and don't have the chance to remember everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the goddess behind all that is known as Alphatia,
Okay.
which the nation was named after,
Yeah.
and she literally is the patron for peace.
Yes. That's one thing I looked at with the description of Frasier and went, you guys are fucking weird.
So up until 5 years ago, war was not something any of her clerics even had in their words. They would basically stop and counter every chance of Alphatia going to war.
Yep.
They were the opponents against Alphatia and Thyatus resuming their warfare after 1,000 years of Cold War.
Yep.
So 1,000 years of a Cold War where only occasional conflicts happened. This was the people that stopped it from actually going into war
Yeah.
and stopping the recolonization of the world by the Alphatians,
Make the world.
because they have the power to just take over everything.
Yes, they can be cultural imperialists if they want to.
It is actually their personality.
Yes.
They want to take over the world
Yes.
and make everyone like them.
Yes. Well, a lot of other countries, a lot of other states are like that too. It's just these people have the power to do it.
As the
No,
board
no,
say,
because they
resistance is
want to make
futile.
everyone else like them, they want to give everyone the opportunity to become like them.
The Thyatans are more like that because you can choose to remain yourself or choose to join them as long as you pay them. The Alphatians, you must be like them.
Yeah, but it's only to become it better for you.
Okay, your
doing
rationalization
it,
for it
right?
doesn't mean much. Yes, it is largely the distinction between the Romans and the Greeks when it comes to taking places over. Although the Romans were more tolerant than the Alphatians.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that in this one, the Thyatans one
How can I
are more
forget
tolerant.
the date?
The Alphatian ones are not tolerant.
Yeah.
So the Thyatans will bring in your culture into theirs and merge your entire pantheon into their pantheon.
Yeah.
Quite happily do so. The Alphatians will basically say, believe what we believe or die.
Yeah.
Really does put it.
It's actually it's two views of the same Romans in some respect. Although culturally, the way they're portrayed is one's Greek, one's Roman.
And the
What's Byzantine actually more than Greek?
And the
Sort
Alphatian one has the Council of Wizards who advise the Empress, but the Empress is final say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt and possibly be rude, but I'm getting really lost in
Okay.
this.
Okay.
The lack of context means it's
that's where the talk of war is happening from, because they've got the
the talk of war
Alphatians,
is happening from where? There was
the
so
Alphatian
many.
nation,
Okay.
the Alphatian
And this
nation,
god, Alphatia.
Alphatia,
Alphatia, the female
yeah, female
Goddess
goddess.
of peace
of peace. Right. Okay.
is the one behind the wall.
All of this. But does anyone have any idea of why she's decided to go to war?
Not in this group yet.
Not yet? Okay. Right. Thank you. Sorry, I just...
So
Yeah,
we'll
they
find-
all kind
There,
of...
rumours have gone round that the Galantrians are using forbidden magic.
Who's using the elves?
The Galantrians.
Oh,
The wizard
the wizard nation
so, okay, yep, alright.
are using forbidden magic,
Yep.
and the Alphatians have declared that they need to stop.
Okay.
And the Galantrians responded through this group, stating that no magic is forbidden.
So one's like freedom for everyone, and the other one's like, no, you can only go down here and do this, and no other path is available to you.
Yeah.
We said so no.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome.
And to most of the world, it looks as if the Alphatian nation is bullying the Galantrian nation, even though they were both founded by the same people.
And the rest of us are being dragged into it because it's a conflict of such massive magnitude. It's a
Yes.
perfect word. Yeah.
Because if Alphatia starts doing its thing, it's a world war and everyone's involved,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
they want to
it-
be or not.
In modern times, it's a bit like Russia picking on the Ukraine, and then everyone else going, uh-oh.
So Galantry
Yes.
has the power to support the rest of the region to keep the Alphatians out.
Yes.
They have the raw power.
Yes. That example, but think of the Russians with the amount of power they thought they had.
Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. I
And
like
so-
the little jibe there too.
And so in the middle of all this, the Master has brought in a force completely unrelated to any of the others, and has waded right into the mix to say, I'm more important than
So
you
we've
are.
got a third party going, I think you're both wrong.
Yeah, you guys are just
actually-
in war. I'm going to be an immortal. Fuck you.
But you've got more than a third party, because you've also got the guy that's managed, or the warlord that managed to combine all the humanoid tribes in the Broken Lands as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Another party.
Where does that one come from?
They're between
Is it all-
Galantry and Durakan.
Okay, so I really need to listen to
Sure
this
on that.
video next time and just write this stuff down for myself.
so
Yes.
to
And
bring
again-
in
Get a copy of the map and
Yeah.
annotate it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a
with
good idea.
dates. And
Maybe a
with-
printout or something.
that
Yeah.
one into
Because I can't do digital real well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
Yeah, well, you can.
And the other thing you
text
gotta
to a
consider,
map,
Ariadna,
like on a map.
is
So this is
what
Durakan
the
around
players
here.
know versus what characters
Yeah.
know.
This is
Yeah.
the Broken Lands here
Because-
with orcs.
I'm doing that bit better nowadays.
So orcs
Oh,
are
no,
here.
I'll just say the fact that, like, because part of the problem and part of the confusion for characters is that a lot of the countries or the interactions are not going according to what they believe
Yeah.
they are doing.
Yep.
And so therefore, the obvious enemy may not necessarily really be the enemy.
The actual enemy.
So
yeah.
the fact that the all these outcast humanoids have banded together has only happened maybe once or twice in recorded history.
Yep. And
So-
it's always been bad for everyone else.
Humanoids are not human, they are bipedal creatures.
So orcs,
Generally
trolls,
orcs, trolls, that
hobgoblins,
kind of things.
goblinoids,
Yep.
that sort of thing.
I just find the term very misleading because they're like humanoids, but their very definition is that they're not human.
That's why I said outcast
Yeah.
humanoids.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a good description.
So, because in the original version of D&D, humanoids was never referred to humans. Humanoids was referred to non-human beings that had a humanoid appearance,
Yeah.
and it was never applied to elves and dwarves who were called demi-humans.
Yes.
yeah, I remember the whole demi-human
So-
stuff.
Yeah. Human, demi-human, and humanoid, which is on the other side of demi-human.
Just another way to confuse
And-
us, those of us
So-
who aren't really.
Yeah.
That-
and
that's-
they've always had that.
So
We still use it.
with the army of Thar, the orc warlord, basically now in control.
And that's who's Jeremy's
Jeremy's
referred
referring to.
Yep.
The Great Khan of Ethingar has also amassed his people.
Okay.
He has held off attacking for no known reason. The Ethingarians going to war could quite literally be a power upon themselves, but a reason for not attacking is unknown. But currently, if he was to attack, nearly every nation around him can repel him.
So, in this big picture world view, you talk about most important thing that happens in game is what we as characters / players do. How are we fitting in there? Like, I know we've just got these guys at a Darrakan.
That's what this session's about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
'Cause
this is where we put together
Yeah.
an army each
Yeah.
to get involved in what's going on.
Okay.
Convincing the nations to side with your faction or whatever faction you want
Yeah.
is the important part.
So we're trying to
Because,
like unite all these people.
if I can finish.
Sorry.
Because some factions can only support one cause. So if you choose the cause that faction supports, they can't support anyone else.
Yeah.
And if that means they fall because they're busy supporting someone else, they fall.
Okay. Well, that sounds
There's a lot of stuff going on at once.
very political.
It is. And the choices have repercussions. And it's meant to be that way.
Yeah.
That was why I was referring to the fact that there is more than one player involved.
Yes.
And it's not one war, it's many wars.
More than one god. Is that right?
There's 100.
When you say player.
Yep. Player at the
You don't mean us players, you mean...
There
Player
is
of the
more
Great
than
Game.
one faction.
Yes.
Yep.
Faction is probably a better term.
Yeah, faction's a good term.
Because the gods themselves are on both sides of the factions in many cases.
Yep.
And you'll find one god is actually on the sides fighting each other. Just because they're so well worshipped
Yep.
that their worshippers are on both sides of the conflict.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to say to each side what to do. The more followers they have, the more spread out their beliefs are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
More diluted to an
Yes,
extent.
and so the more focused a god is on a nation, the more control over it they have.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the gods that support the Atruaghins, you've probably got about 30 or 40 gods supporting them, but only 6 that have a say.
Yeah.
So the other ones get to influence them, but if any one of those 6 say jump, they jump.
Jump.
I
Yeah.
got to talk to them as a group.
Yeah.
That was
Pretty crazy.
Pretty good.
Because you almost put them to
Pretty
war.
awesome.
Yeah, there's that too.
I tried to avoid it, and I succeeded.
And thing is, they want to go to war because war is their belief system.
Yes, but the people I was in the middle of protecting were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I know. So,
There is a thing, because the wording I used, the moment we were all out of the way, they could do what they like.
yeah. But the thing is, there was,
But it was-
no one there at that time to go to war with, because the master hasn't encroached upon their territory yet.
Yes, but the moment he does,
The moment he does, it becomes a question.
yes.
But they don't have to be involved, because they have the ability to stay neutral.
Yeah.
And
And
again,
that may be a strength in itself at this point.
it may be, but it does leave one of the biggest factions out of play. So if the Ethangarians don't join the side, they're out of play. If the Karamikans or the Five Shires or the Yalarum or the others stay out of play,
Yeah.
that they all cause problems.
Yeah. But once the master starts approaching the Atruaghin plateau, it becomes worthwhile attempting to talk to him again. Or the Atruaghins themselves will talk to their own gods and say, can we get involved? That
I
won't,
think if you
it does
realise
become a
this is
discussion.
birthday
it's not,
today.
not necessarily our call.
Okay, so so that brings us to where we ended last session.
Yep.
You had just travelled to the city of Akasoli and found out that the master was encroaching on the city.
Yep.
And he dropped a world tree to extend his domain on the city centre.
The fact that he dropped a world tree.
Just
Using
dropped a
using
world
the top of
tree,
the
you
mountain
know,
that's
like,
held in place by the
just
portal,
casual.
which connects the top tip of the mountain to the mountain.
And that's no sapling.
Full-size tree, what was it, a mile across or something?
It was a
stupid?
mile across.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, he dropped a world tree. We
And
ran.
and what you figure out is he's got more than one.
Well, yeah, this isn't going to be his only one.
You know.
He's going to be using this to extend his domain as he goes. Which god, is there a god that looks explicitly after the world trees? I
Not
think there
anymore.
is.
There used to be, but people have forgotten who that is.
Okay, so is it worthwhile finding out and then rekindling their worship?
The problem with that is not even the gods know who they were.
Drazzle, can we do a quick trip?
Yeah. How far you want to go?
So,
How did he
when,
respond to
so
that?
to put that in context, Wednesday Snow got to see the death of two gods, but weren't
Got
able to
to see-
actually
yeah.
weren't able to actually find out their names because their names no longer exist.
Because that's the death of them.
But they got to witness the death of them at the hands of the Black Morians.
Right.
So, which was literally Tiamat and Palandine, Bahamut. Basically, both taking on Black. And in the storyline, there are the forgotten dragon gods that were killed. Literally in the existing storyline, so that's where they've had it fitted in. Because they're down as unknown gods. And so you led a group of Akasoli citizens to the Inside Fort, and that was when you reached there. The timeline of that was the 24th of the 4th month, 1008, which is where we pick up tonight's session, with you finding out that a fort which had been turned into a training grounds. And basically fallen to disuse over the last 20 odd years, looks far more defensible than you actually expected, considering you've not been here in a long time. You've always taken a boat across the lake. And the fortifications almost look to be twice the size they used to be. And this was historically one of the most defensive forts of the nation.
Does it look like it's new work?
It does look like it's been new work. Most of it had, you find out after getting inside, they're still working on it, had been started a year ago when they believed that the Master was going to invade and it was a foregone conclusion. So they started evacuating the town, the city at that point. And it's taking them more than a year to actually evacuate the city. You were with what was left of the city. And they weren't advertising it because that would sort of accelerate an attack on the city. And you'd think it would take a sizable force to take this fortress, even by lake. But considering what you've just seen,
It won't go.
It can't go.
It won't slow them down much.
it won't slow them down as much as you'd like. This would stop the Atruaghin.
But not.
It'll stop a
Not
normal
the
army.
master.
A person who can move a world tree.
It won't stop him from out and get put on top of it.
We need to find out more about world trees, which are different from the tree lines.
They are.
Different.
I mean, Walker will come out and suggest that mountain is probably going to move again for at least 6 to 12 months. Is that right?
You'd expect the amount of magic involved, it would take a while to recover it, to redo it. Most legendary to artifacts that have such capabilities are limited use. And when you do use them, they've got to recover. And if you found a way to speed up the recovery time, you're in trouble.
Well,
And you're like,
if he's found a way to speed up the recovery time, it means we're in faster trouble. Still in trouble.
We're in quite a bit of trouble.
And as you arrive in town, you find that a boat has been waiting for you. It arrived on the morning light. And it was basically organised about 8 years ago.
So the boat waiting for us was organised 8 years ago by, do we know who?
Probably Dressel.
That no one remembers who organised it.
Probably wasn't Dressel then.
Didn't happen to look like is he a blue dragon?
Yes.
He is, but the boat's most likely changed hands multiple times since then, but this has been...
But
It's just part of the manifest.
The very large contract still exists.
And it was most likely the person who helped get the boat off the ground in the first place.
Yeah.
Put it down as a requirement. Because some people do think that far ahead.
Which means in some respects it's our boat. It's just somebody else has been able to use it for 8 years for money.
Why does that ring a bell?
Because you were in the party that did it.
I have a feeling yes.
There have been multiple times things have happened that other people have set up that has just turned up. And I do use storylines from each of the nights that cross over and things do happen that way.
That's fun. I love that.
And because Drazzle's involved, they can happen.
They can all happen at the same
opposite
time.
times.
They can
to each
happen.
other.
They can happen in real time simultaneously while occurring in different times.
Yes.
He can pass messages backwards and forwards in time.
Yes.
That's cool.
Which is how Calcrix talks to Zala,
Yeah.
who's 2 years behind us.
So yes, as that shows up, the commander has said that word has been sent ahead of your arrival. As you
Excellent.
arrive, even though you arrived before most of the people did.
Of course. Because whoever set this trip up also set the messages up.
And you can see arrayed at the Fort Docks, probably about 20 plus small little lake warships. Basically,
Enough to try and help.
they're enough to attack the road along which you walked, as well as anything that tries to cross the lake.
Yeah.
Because last thing you want is an army just bypassing the defences by going right across the water.
Yeah.
So the boat stopped at the lake that we were on before, that we ran away from.
They went. They left.
Yeah, so this is the same big lake.
This is the
Just
same
a
big
different
lake.
shore.
Yeah.
Different shore, southern shore.
Yes.
We went from.
Because the lake is many miles across.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
the-
looking at the map for the
Yeah,
lake.
the
Yeah, we
place
went
had
from
been was like
the east to
was
the west
50
side.
miles
Now
away.
we're on the south side.
8 mile axis?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's about 50, 60 miles from where we're running.
It is one of the biggest inland lakes, not the biggest.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It is
I'm
big
very
enough.
slow at riding.
Yeah. It is big enough you can't see across it unless you're standing on a mountain.
But you can see an island that's about halfway in the middle of it.
You gotta look real hard.
No, you can't see that. Actually, strictly, you can't because it's over the horizon. Even the top of it's over the horizon if you're standing on the shore.
I'm sure if you try hard enough, you can still see it.
That's right. If you look, you'll find it.
So we enter this area. How do we figure out this boat is waiting for us?
You get told as soon as you
Oh,
land.
so a messenger.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
commander says
Yeah.
he's waiting for us.
And the commander was waiting for you, expecting you to arrive at the time you arrived.
Yep.
Exactly on the dot.
Mm-hmm.
You just see him looking at his sundial on his wrist.
Yes.
He asks if you need any provisions or do you have any instructions.
We reprovisioned, didn't we? So we don't need any. We're just moving fast
We
right now.
reprovisioned from in Derrican, then we moved to not actually the other one, and then we went across the lake. So the only provisions we quote unquote used were in that approximate week
Yeah.
of
But-
movement.
But
So
the moment we got here, we could reprovision anyway.
I mean,
in the
yeah,
fort.
I guess from that
That's what he's asking. Do we want to
Yeah.
we'll
reprovision?
reprovision.
And I would have thought that technically we would have used up any
Provisions.
provisions that we had trying to
This is
maintain
why-
all the refugees over the last week.
This is why I
That's
said
true.
when we got to the fort, we reprovisioned.
Exactly,
This
that's
is the
right.
boat captain. Right, we're now on army rations, which are crap, but it's food.
Yeah.
And the captain has asked, "Do we need to do that?"
Oh,
No.
the fruit here is
So-
some of the best amongst the military of Darrington.
It's
So the
still army rations.
Captain's
It's
asked
not
us.
army rations.
Oh, they got real food.
They do.
Wow.
This is basically the has been the prime posting for the best of the best of
Yep.
Darkin, and they train most of their soldiers here.
I was sort of thinking of learning cookery tools as one of my provisions.
The captain has asked us if we need any.
Well, the
Or-
commander
yeah, commander, yeah.
commander of the fort has asked anything.
Calquix says,
What do you
if it's
cook it
possible, could I trouble? I don't know how available or easy it is, but I need a lens for my looking glass. It got broke, so I'd like to replace it and get my looking glass properly fixed, if that's possible.
Says he can do that. He
Awesome.
has a couple available.
Repaired looking glass.
Yeah,
So we've got two now, technically.
Or you could probably get it replaced.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
either way, I've
it's-
got a looking glass, and who wants the other looking glass?
Well, each of these ships would have one, and they're navy, which means they're going to have spares.
I don't want to give
So-
the spare looking glass to Tollicus because he'll probably look at the island. So, does anyone else
At least
want
not
it?
yet.
I will take it.
Okay, I'll give you the other looking glass. Put that
The
down in
proper
your gear.
accoutrement for a ship captain.
Because I know I am not powerful enough to go to the island yet. Keyword, yet.
We'll get there eventually.
One of these days.
Yes. Also, one of these days you'll get a folding boat as a magic boat.
What we need.
Yes. It's not a big boat. I
Um,
think there are bigger ones.
also, we didn't have a cleric that could. I wanted to store a sending spell in my ring, and I need a cleric for that. Is there a cleric around that could help me with that?
Or
Good point.
someone who's got the. I think I can use a sending scroll.
I would just like to have that one that I can't access in my ring. If I could,
Yeah.
if there's a cleric available.
No, I believe when you use it, someone has to cast it back in again.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's a one use item.
Yeah, but
Sorry, one
I,
use at a time.
I have a feeling
Yeah.
after our last thing, having a one-use capacity
Oh, yeah.
to send a message anywhere
Yeah.
is not
But-
necessarily an
Yeah, but once we get to a major city, if we get like half a dozen scrolls of sending, I can put them in the ring,
Yep, that's.
Or just use it.
or just use it myself, or both.
Well, can I not use the scroll of sending then?
No, you could use a scroll of sending too.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
well,
yes, because sending's
Then-
is sending on.
Sending's on multiple lists. It's an arcane spell. I believe.
Calcrix believes in
Yeah,
learning
yes,
from her
it is.
lessons, so she'd like
Yeah.
to get scrolls of sending.
Yeah.
If there's a place where she can get those
Yes.
here. If not,
And not in the fort.
No, if
Okay.
we'll have to wait for it.
So the
to
fort is a
select it.
military base. It's not a merchant.
Yeah.
and where is
they'll
this
have scrolls
boat
of
we're
fireball
supposed to be
cannon.
getting onto going?
It's supposed to head to Koros, which is
Yeah,
the
could
opposite
you
side of the
zoom
lake.
into the lake?
Okay, let's see.
You can at least see the names. Okay. Across, which is the one over to the east.
Considering
Closest to Darrakan. Where are we going?
considering that you said that I can't get sending scrolls, I gather there's no clerics here who can put something in my ring for the meantime.
Possibly, but they don't have. They may not have had it prepared today.
Okay, alright.
They could probably do it tomorrow if you want to wait a day.
I take it that there's some urgency, so I've just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I asked all possible options.
Do remember that if you're specific to sending, that's a cleric spell, it's a mage user spell, it's a bard spell.
Yeah, it depends who you get the scroll from.
Unfortunately,
That's right.
yeah, it depends on, and
Yeah.
it's not one I've got.
If it's on your spell
No, so
list,
the point is
the
that you
scroll
don't need
makes it
necessarily a
of
cleric to
all the
cast it,
traditions
you
that
need
can
No.
cast.
someone who can cast third level
Yeah.
sending.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
asking, if there was someone who's capable of doing that into my ring, and he's
Nah.
saying, for now, no.
Yeah.
Looks like you're best off going to
Yeah.
Aquara. So I feel comfortable moving on from
Yep.
there because it'll take approximately
Yeah,
what,
2 days.
2 days.
2 days by boat. It would take you about maybe 5-6 days by land.
Yeah.
So presumably, as long as nothing goes wrong, we will be in a chorus in 2 days, and you can get us something.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
So
just
the next
making a
thing-
note so that
the
I don't
next thing we'll
forget.
see will be gnomes.
And because I had that circular memory problem, I got confused by the time we finished as to because I'd asked about 2 different things, I couldn't figure out which one it said no to, so I just had
So
to.
you got the spy glass fixed,
clarify.
but not the sending.
Yeah, no spend. Yeah. Sending's not on my spell list. On the other hand, I can persuade the scroll to work anyway. Because I'm just that good.
I think it's.
Actually, I don't. Yeah, arcane appropriation. I'm not sure if it ignores class restrictions.
Yes.
It's alignment restrictions.
Alright, I'm good to
And
go.
It will ignore class restrictions
Right.
as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I can use stuff off my list as long as it's straight from the item. I can't learn it.
You can use all the items.
Yeah. Yes.
All the items.
We will
Oh yeah.
jump on the ship.
Which includes things like the Paladin's Holy Sword. Can persuade that to work.
All you need to do is grab Pain's sword.
Yeah.
Go ahead and grab
Technically,
Pain's sword.
I'm guessing for the moment, Pain's in his stone.
Yeah.
Underneath, I think.
Yes.
You do it here, otherwise it'll be out of the picture.
Yeah, he's travelling with me.
Explain Jill Bell, the Holy Avenger and the Holy Avenger.
Alright.
It's doable. You did it with the 2 swords screaming at each other all the time.
So you're at Fort Hazelberry,
Yep.
and you take a boat that will take you 2 days to get across the lake to Acorus.
Yep. Are the refugees coming with us, or are they staying in our somewhere?
At the moment, they would be taking the long way around
Okay.
because you don't have a boat big enough to take,
Take that
And
about 10,000 people.
oh, that's right. Yeah, we do have a stock load, don't we?
So does that put us on the 26th or the 27th?
The 26th. One thing you notice while traveling across the lake, sunset happens a lot earlier. As soon as the sun passes over a certain point of the sky, it just goes dark.
Okay. It's getting over the master's domain, and his shadow is shadowing everything.
That's what you do.
That's very well. It's a bit dark.
It's dark on multiple levels.
Yes, exactly.
So no more Twilight.
Oh, you do get twilight, but you get twilight like about 4 hours earlier.
Yes.
Let's hope for a new moon.
And the further you get away from Akasoli, the longer day you have.
Makes sense. Only mortifying scary, it's fine.
Yes. When you can't do something about an existential threat, you spend a lot of time ignoring it.
Hey, welcome to most of my life. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, arriving in
Yeah, I'm a warlock. I'm supposed to. Yeah,
Acorus, you find that the docks are also full of warships.
I'm not surprised.
They've been preparing for a long time, and you have to pass through a few checkpoints on the ocean before you reach the city itself.
I'm fine by that. I'm fine with it.
I'm assuming that Acorus doesn't necessarily look that different from us than when we left less than 2 weeks ago.
Less than 2 weeks ago, the fleet wasn't anywhere near the docks because the master hadn't crossed over. They were off being constructed out of sight.
Oh, okay, right.
So they weren't in position, but now they're in
so the fleet has arrived in the meantime?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it seems that most of them came from Fort Lakeside to the north.
Yeah.
As the most remote of the lakes, it has
Yep.
no road leading to it.
Right.
It's also the one unlikely to be, if I scroll up, unlikely to actually be attacked because
It's
There-
against
there-
the mountains.
it's on the mountain range, it's right next to a river, there are no roads to or from it.
So it makes no sense that it would be attacked.
And that if the master went that way, he would pretty much be held in place. Because worst case, they evacuate, there's nowhere for the master to go.
Yeah.
And if I can get that to go out a little bit, where is my zoom? That would do for a zoom.
No idea.
Yeah. Where am I? Yeah. There I am. That's what happens when you click on things.
Yeah. Clicked on things and then ran.
Click on things and it all goes awry.
So you have some idea of roughly scale of where things are.
Yeah, that helps. Cool.
Thank you. So yes, you've got. So you're at Akoros, and Akoros looks the most militant you've ever seen it. Even though, in general, this city is really a threat from the enemy. It has a small group of Marines whose whole purpose is to keep what comes out of the lake back in the lake.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are beasties of the lake that like to come out and eat people.
No.
But that's the main threat besides pestilence and stuff affecting the farmland surrounding it.
Okay.
So it is one of the most peaceful cities of Darrakan.
Alright.
Darrakan City, not as peaceful because that's where all the politics are.
Yes.
But you have heard that the Thieves Guild of Akoros has made it such that there are no major crimes happening in the city.
Interesting.
They will literally kill anyone who tries to go off and commit a major crime.
Mm-hmm.
No crime.
Yeah, but it means all of the little crimes that they're doing every day get ignored. Because no one's enforcing anything because there's no major crime.
It's organised crime.
Well,
it's crime as a job.
so it's like the mafia in control of a tourist destination.
Yeah.
So this is just
don't-
Vegas, got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't mess with the
So it's
tourists.
like the best
and
house you
everyone makes
can
the money.
actually be moved in next to is the local druggies. Because if anyone robs your house, the local druggies will crack down on it, because if police are turning up at your house, there's a chance they'll see what the druggies are doing. Therefore, you're actually safer.
Or even
Because
more so,
they're
they already know what the druggies are doing. Because if your house gets done, that's the first house they're going to.
So the Thieves Guild have...
Cornered the market on crime.
Something based on this. Read the first one.
Do you want help?
It's just hands not great.
I didn't think of using
Yes.
scissors. So they haven't stopped all crime, just all unauthorised crime. Take your time.
Yeah.
They've stopped all what you'd call major crimes. So nothing that would harm or interfere with the city as a whole
Yeah.
and the people. But the house that's in control of the city has gone from the 6th richest house to the 9th richest house because of it.
So, sorry, who's gone from the what to
The
what?
merchant house that owns the city
Okay.
has lost its standing
Mhm.
because solely to the Thieves Guild of the city.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they've been so
that's
bloody
remarkable.
effective.
Vanilla, knock up. I gave you the
Yeah.
diabetic
it's-
version.
Taking them probably 5-10 years to figure that out. It was just so subtle that,
It was just like a.
and they seem to have gone into all martial law, so not even the Thieves Guild here has much of a say in it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That doesn't seem good.
Well, Darrakan City itself has sent its troops this way, and they seem to be fortifying the town to stop from attacks from any direction.
Yeah.
Because if someone was to land a force on any north or south of the lake or at the town itself, before you left, the town was completely defenseless.
Sounds good.
Now they've got basic defenses set up to repel a simple attack,
Yeah.
and you think they're going to go for more expensive, long-term defenses as they go.
Yeah.
As you see a couple of mages dropping
Moving up from the dummy
magic.
cameras to the proper interconnected CCTV network. CCTV network.
Yeah.
And having a mage come up, medium level mage come in to shore up their defences by using stone shape, which is an incredibly useful spell.
And I think the
Yes.
stone walls, wall of stone is a permanent
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, wall of stone and stone shape, both incredibly useful because it means you end up with walls that aren't made of blocks, they're single sheets of stone.
That is
And you can make it incredibly tough.
Especially considering some mages have learned how to interweave metal into the stone.
You can end up with
Yep.
some pretty good defences.
Better than anything you can physically craft.
So we're looking at a gated neighbourhood.
Very gated.
You do see banners from some of the from the Great School of Glantry here as well, so that they've actually sent a delegation to help shore up the city itself.
Alright.
Considering
Lot of things going
Durkin
on.
is their only trade partner.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
who's their only trade?
Durkin is
Durkin.
Glantry's only
Yeah,
trade
it's
partner.
gone.
And it goes through the Broken Lands to get there.
Yeah.
So the
Which
lands
means
of
it adds a lot of value, which means a lot of money.
they do not trade with the Ethangarians. They have been in a state of war with them since Glantry existed.
Wow.
And
pretty
peace
major.
has never been declared between the two because it's the equivalent of a blood feud.
Yeah.
So are we heading somewhere now?
Yes.
This is you finding out what's happened as you
Yep.
get here.
Yep.
And did Calcris want to seek out one of the temples here to get...
There's no relationship whatsoever.
If that's not going to impede, are we... the boat was waiting for us. Are we due to meet with someone?
Well, the boat brings you
First?
here. There was no instructions on the boat.
No instructions. Okay. I will probably stop in to see a cleric and get either sending scrolls or get the sending thing in carrying, as long as that doesn't take too long.
Okay, reaching there, they have no problems with providing a third level spell because for most of them that would be a $300 gold piece donation to the temple
Yeah.
to put a caster into the spell, into the ring.
Because as much as I believe in you, what if I'm by myself?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying don't use the ring. I'm just saying it gives us another
I
option.
have other resources.
Yeah, it gives us another resource.
Having a backup way of communicating is always good.
Well, it also means I can communicate with you, and then you can communicate with me at any distance.
And Eve might have capacity to actually carry messages. But I've got to talk to you about her capacity to do that.
The thing is, once you've learnt it, there's that as well. I become the limit at that point. The thing is, the ring allows you to do it without using a spell
Yeah,
slot.
it's purely for an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm stuck. Do they have any scrolls?
Not on hand because they would have sent them out to their units.
Yeah, they have
Okay.
military requirements.
And that was 300 coins. Gold coins, wasn't it?
Yes, and they'll have
Good
sent
to
all
know.
of them out, even the things that are ostensibly useless, because a smart wizard can use anything on the battlefield to advantage.
From there, I would guess we'd seek a house of a town leader or something.
There's also a branch of Red Greens in here,
Oh, awesome! That's probably where we're going.
which is probably why you were getting any further instructions.
Yes,
likely.
because we can come here and go to the inn and get instructions. Well, the other thing is we were aiming here because we can go from here to Salonika in one jump.
Yeah.
We don't have to travel once we get to here.
You do notice that when you went to the inn, unlike most of the times you've been here, none of the locals are here.
It's a Knight's Rivet Inn, I'm guessing.
Is like a bartender?
There is a bartender and a stable hand,
Well, I mean, so you're saying there's no locals here, so like
but
there's
no one at
those
the
who-
tables.
Yeah.
or
So no one's
there's
drinking.
No patrons.
No.
Yeah. Yes, the moment it's only for
Official
I
purposes,
will-
I would guess.
Red Rens people.
Make a joke to the bartender. Ah, a bit of a dead night, eh?
Yeah, he says it's been like that since we saw the dust cloud from the master.
Yeah, everyone's panicked and no one wants to enjoy anything.
Oh no, we had some instructions, so we've activated part of the magic of the building.
Okay.
So now only those who know it exists can go.
Right. So according to the locals, it disappeared.
According to the locals, there's no...
There's never been one.
There's a building on one side and a building on the other, and those two are together.
Yeah.
It's as if this space doesn't exist.
Yep.
Otherwise, the network is vulnerable.
Yes.
We do not want to send people directly into Blanchery City.
Well, we've already
into
lost.
Darken City.
No.
Already lost quite a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like 2 of the Knights Rebellions are gone now. Alrighty.
Well, the only one they know of that's gone is the one on Akasol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one that we know is gone.
Yes. Yeah. What about? Wasn't there one in Darragon City? And Darragon City's gone.
No, that's still there. That's the one you. That's the centre of it.
That's
If
the one
that
we
goes,
came
all
back
of them
from.
go down.
Okay. Alright. My brain will eventually get this all right.
That's the one that's at risk if the master gets access to any of the others.
Yeah. It basically, if that's about to go, I think Red Red's just going to pull the whole thing,
Yeah, probably.
which is a bit of a poo for anyone inside it.
Do you have Redrian staff?
Yes.
Did you want to?
This is probably the safest place in the universe. Well, not the safest place in the universe, but one of the safest
Touch
places
base?
in the universe to use it.
Yep.
Could we have a private meeting room, please?
Yes, they have one to
Actually,
listen.
yeah.
He says any room in here is particularly private.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a very good point. I might as well do it right here because, well, it's not like we're trying to hide this from you.
There are only 2 to 3 staff in any inn at the moment.
Yeah.
And all the inns around the known world have all gone into hidden mode.
Yep. It'd be nice to see if they're nice to show the boss that you're doing your job too.
Well, considering all the other inns are also vulnerable, they've all been notified and now they have all disappeared. Just that most people don't know they've disappeared, especially those who use it.
Yes.
Yeah, we
They've
probably wouldn't know any different.
they've switched pubs without noticing.
But there is one in Darragon that moves itself.
So unfortunately, your
Yes.
joke fell flat.
Yes. Right.
So we'll find a
No, we'll do it here.
space and
Yep.
yeah.
Move a couple of the tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a nice big
Big
table and they basically loaded up with some food for you.
Nice.
Lovely. Well, that's the thing too. They're shutting out all the locals, but they've still got the supplies. So, yeah.
And
It
they-
doesn't mean it's not being used.
But they
No,
can
yeah.
get the
but-
supplies from Darragon City.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
I was going to say, no matter what, they have an uninterrupted
But
supply
I'm saying
chain,
they've got supplies on hand for like a couple of days worth of normal patrons,
So to speak.
and a lot of it, and some of them might go off. So yeah, eat up.
Yeah. Calcrix has definitely still got an appetite.
Well, they have
Yep.
the ability to transfer them through there.
Well, there's that as well. I'm saying they've got stuff on hand. They can move around, but everyone's going to have stuff on hand.
And it has delicacies from all over the world, which is why these places have been liked by a lot of people. I remember this place that had all this fabulous food, but they don't know where it is.
Alpine pastries. I've been to the staff thing first.
As you get the staff, there is a shimmering, and you see Redrian sitting at the table with you.
Very nice.
I did not make that noise.
That's the noise of the staff working.
Apparently, the staff misfired.
It was the staff made the noise.
Good timing.
Yes.
That's funny. Okay, so Regine
Ariadne,
appears.
very good timing on that fart noise. We used it.
Oh, nice.
So Atruaghin appears sitting at the table with us.
Greetings.
How goes things?
We rescued 10,000 odd people from the Master.
This is that was good because they'd only managed to get about 7,000 out before you got there.
So we rescued more than everybody else.
Well, it's a town of
Yay,
about 17,000, so they've been doing it they've been doing it slowly as to not alert.
Yeah, what it means though is we got almost everybody out, which I'm actually really impressed by. We did a bloody good job.
You were very efficient in making people move, and the only people who stayed behind were already working for the Master.
Yep.
Or had their own way out, as one might went.
You'd probably say we're already working for the Master.
Oh, they are now.
Yeah.
Or they're flattened by a mountain.
That too?
No, I'm talking about the ones who left in their own spaceship.
Oh, those ones. They were completely different.
Yes.
But you do recognise that this city here has one of those outposts.
Okay.
One that's similar
Good to
to
think
what
the spaceship.
the spaceship.
Yes.
The Space Cats.
I still want one.
Yeah.
And you'd expect that it's probably been here long enough that no one knows it's anything other than a building.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course.
Probably just looks a little different, but you know, it's been there long enough.
They,
It's
they
fine.
built up around it, so it looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
And when the city upgrades, they just upgrade the outside of it.
Yep.
No one needs to know any different.
Exactly.
Yes. Sorry, as a side thing, I'm having a look at this picture here and going, this is really scary. That looks like a vampire bard.
Does look like that.
He mesmerizes, woos you with his charisma, and then sucks you.
Standard bard thing, really.
I was gonna say that's just a bar. So
Yes.
he tells us good job, pat on the back, all that stuff.
So, what? Says he's spoken with the Council of 10 of Darachin, which is the 9 ruling houses and the Chancellor.
Yeah.
And they've actually approached all the merchants of Darachin to see who's got contacts that can convince any of the surrounding nations to put forces towards stopping the Master. Because basically they don't think there's enough manpower in Darachin alone to stop such a force. And they are looking at whether or not they have a fighting withdrawal. They already have one planned because they don't expect to be able to withstand the numbers or the technology.
Yeah. But if surrounding peoples are persuaded to help, even if they're not immediately adjacent but can get here in reasonable time.
Now, we're also going to suggest that you also point out that Darachin is the breadbasket of the region.
Yes.
If Darachin dies, so does all the food supplies for every nation. There's not one nation that doesn't rely on Darachin's food.
Darachin loves that.
Well, they are also the negotiator between all the nations.
That too. One of the reasons I was there, other than that, I've been living with this stuff for a long time.
So they're looking at trying to get some of the best they can to harass the Master. They don't know if they can actually stop the Master. They don't know if there's enough people available who can actually do so. Because when you take people from one location, that location can be vulnerable to other things.
Yep.
Like if you were to pull enough people from the Dwarven Kingdom, suddenly they're vulnerable on 3 sides.
Yeah. That mountain range to the north makes things a bit interesting up there too. And a couple of other mountain ranges. So, for example, if you went to, say, some of the pirate crews and said, hi, there's these guys who've been rampaging and looting, and they're carrying all sorts of lovely loot. Would you like a chance at them? Would that work?
Would Lani like to recruit a pirate fleet?
And be the admiral?
Blackbeard exists in this?
He does.
I've
And
not
he's got his own ship.
Wait, I was friends with Blackbeard.
You were.
Yes.
You've actually met him. He was one of your teachers.
I can make an appeal to Blackbeard.
See if you can find Red Pirate Brothers too.
He's a halfling at the moment.
Cool.
So we could
Do
potentially...
you know he's a real person? Yes. Very scary.
Much akin to Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Put together a pirate council.
There is one.
Elect me as Pirate King.
I'm sure you can.
Well, admiral for this one. But
I'm-
yeah. Oh, no,
I'm sure you can get yourself onto the table to talk to the pirate captains,
Yeah.
because they do have a council of pirates, and they operate out of Orendi.
Yes.
That would be...
Not Orendi City, the other side of the
It
island.
would be worth it because I know that from what I remember from what you told me previously, I don't believe that the R&D Navy would be willing to give much forces to this.
They don't have a huge force to begin with,
Yeah, and like they
And-
already have their own threats under the water.
and the combination of the Orendi and the pirate fleet is what kept the master off the ocean.
Right. So, how much do potions of charisma cost? Because we're all going to need some.
Yeah.
Me less than most, but having lots of charisma is very useful in persuading people.
Well, some of these things are
Potion
what you
of-
what you persuade them with, not what you how charismatic you are.
Oh yeah, but a potion of glibness is always good for that sort of thing. But they're not cheap.
So Lani,
I'll go to Rooney, talk to maybe Blackbeard and the other Pirates Council.
Yeah, Draknamir has presumably both the Atruaghin and the dragons to choose from.
Although he had been very quiet the whole process.
Yeah.
He's really not entirely certain that he wants to involve necessarily either of those forces. If Master's going to go round.
Well, point made by Redred is if he's not stopped, everyone is toast.
No, like the point is Jack Nimmer recognises that.
Yeah.
But he's certainly conflicted in the idea of that, well, there's already been evidence or demonstration of the fact that the Master can't get into the
Atruaghin
on the
land,
plateau at this
which
stage.
leaves you with talking to the dragons, or at least the Dragonborn, because they're not bound to the Atruaghin lands. Your clan may be, but the Dragonborn in general aren't, and you can talk to them given your position.
and unlike most of the nations, the Atruaghin are very self-sustaining.
Yeah. So
That's right,
the Atruaghin
the description of Derek and being the breadbasket for all the foundations, I thought, well, yeah, I can Atruaghins can get around without.
Oh, okay, the Atruaghins can, but they do import stuff. They can get by without. However, it does mean that the Atruaghin plateau becomes a bastion from which attacks can be launched and so on, and they become useful by remaining as they are. Whereas the Dragonborn, you get to go and, say, talk to mercenary units. So you still get to talk to the Atruaghin clan saying, hi, here's what I think you guys should do. Because your gods want to go to war, and you're saying let's not do that. So you've got to do that persuade too.
Oh, no, that's what he says.
Yeah.
The Atruaghins and the gods, yes, I want to go to war. Nor do they want to go to war with each other.
Yeah, well there is that too.
And as I say, traditionally, there is the congregation, and it's about time for another one.
Yeah.
For the tribes to actually swarm out of the plateau.
And the Atruaghin calendar only goes to the year 1010.
Do you know whether
They have no calendar past that.
Okay, well that gets a bit interesting too.
So anything that they talk about prophecy and stuff is in the year 1010 is the first time in the history of all the clans that their cycle puts every clan at war.
So what year was that?
AC 1010.
2 years away.
Hey, you're up
Okay.
there.
So yeah, so you get to deal with that stuff. I've got
Yep.
2 lots of elves to deal with, one of whom doesn't know the other one exists.
So are we negotiating now who we go to first, or whether we split up?
Well, we're just talking possibilities and who's
Okay.
worth talking
Yep,
to
yep,
and
yep.
how.
Yeah.
Because you've got the pirate clans, and that's going to get complicated and take a while.
Lonnie can also
Plus you've got
go to
non-pirates.
the guilds of Minrafad
Yeah, true.
as an RND and as a hero. You can also go to the Five Shires as a female swordsman
So
to
they're
inspire them.
important. So for
Because, to be honest, the halflings worship female warriors.
so you got pirates,
Cool.
Villani plus halflings.
Basically, they consider good luck tokens
And
on
what
their
were
ships.
there was
Oh,
another
cool.
one I missed.
The Minrafad Guild.
How do you spell that?
Minrothad.
O-T-H-A-D. Guilds.
Yeah, because Luell would also be good in talking to them because
Yep.
they have a elven contingent.
So the pirates because she's got her pirate quads. The halflings because she's a female fighter. The
as well
myth-
as seamen.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with halflings before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, me presenting all of this collected stuff to the Darrakan forces as here's a group of other groups of guys to work with. Here's where we don't need to be defensive.
Where are we expecting the battle or the war to occur?
They're expecting the master to find a way across the lake via magic, via mundane, and via unknown methods.
Which means where we're standing right now is probably the first location he's going to hit.
My question is the idea of how much impact or potential impact can the pirates and or the Minrafad clans, with their ship-based forces, they're presumably not going to get their ships onto the lake.
But they could take control
They
of the. They could help man the lake ships.
And that's what I'm trying to check is about so part of it is not necessarily trying to gather together a fleet, but you're trying to gather together groups.
Yep, because the crews of the lake are used to dealing with minor nuances,
Not forces.
not a military force.
Yeah. The other thing
And remember also,
the other
that,
thing
as we
is-
noted on the trip over,
the other
that
thing is
the skills of a ocean-going crew, definitely different styles of crew skills used for the lake.
So they've got the crew to man the boats, but they don't have the crew to defend the ships.
yeah, but the other thing is that those rivers are navigable all the way from the sea. At least one of them is. Which means they can get up here.
for those who are slow, Lua was the groups of elves.
Luell
Both
can
elves.
talk to the elves and convince them to stuff. Luell also has contacts with Yawning
Yep.
and Rocco.
I've got contacts basically everywhere, all the major countries, because I've been developing that over the past about 4 levels. But I've got close contacts in Yawning.
Yeah.
I can talk to, as noted, the Minrafad guilds,
Yeah.
as well as presenting all of this as a, hi, here's some extra forces to the Darrakan forces. Basically, once we've got this sort of organised, I can then present this to Darrakan and say, hi, we've got this.
You should use it.
Let's redo your plans.
And Draknamar he's obviously the Dragon
Dragonborn.
clan and Dragonborn.
And the Atruaghin.
Atruaghin, that's it.
Though he can also inspire other people as well. Just because you come from a nation doesn't mean you have to go to that nation for help.
Oh yeah.
As
It's been one of the reasons why I got sent out to the world was
Yes.
the recognition of
So you could learn to be charismatic.
understanding of other parts of the world.
Yes.
because when the Atruaghin want to go to war, they want to know who they're going to war with.
Yes.
Or against.
Well, that's
If they don't even go to war with, they're going to war with each other.
Yes.
Then Calcrix could assist Dracula with talking to the dragons.
Well, then it add the dragons to the dragon board too.
So there is
The dragons
rumor amongst the dragons that the dragons are currently fighting an internal war
Yeah, so that's
between
what you know.
what they call the Chroma Conclave, trying to bring back a fallen god, and the
Which conclave?
the Chroma
Chroma.
Conclave.
Chroma.
So basically, people trying to bring Tiamat back, even though Tiamat's being banished from this world.
So the direct counter to that is trying to bring Bahamut back.
Yes, but the problem with that is no one knows about Bahamut at all.
Right.
But Tiamat has
Right,
managed to
right,
get her
right.
claws back into the world.
Yes.
Downwards.
Literally.
That would be something for Drazzle to fix. So I found this out.
Yes, but he has a lot of restrictions.
And only so much personal time to have.
He is also told a few characters about what happens when you mess with time too much.
Mm-hmm.
Time comes back and erases you.
Yes.
And when they erase you, no one remembers you.
Yes. Of course, given Drazzle, he's probably recovered from that at least twice.
Or stopped himself from doing what caused him to be erased in the first place.
Yes.
That's true. He could do that just because
Yes,
of how
but-
back and forth he is.
Yes, but think also of things like contingency time spells.
That's funny.
Well, there are five,
My spell went off, therefore I shouldn't do what I'm about to do.
there are five of him at any one given time.
Yeah. Yeah. That, which
gives
he
him
can
an
stop
advantage.
himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have Llewell and Clarissa able to talk to the elves.
Yep.
You have Lani able to talk to the halflings and the islanders.
Yep.
You
Clarissa can talk to
Neri.
and Neri can talk to the Glantrians as well.
actually can, yes, because there are also elves up there too.
Yes. And wizards.
There are.
Actually, strictly I can talk to the Glantrians too, and probably should actually. I got a lot of stuff to do. How much time have we got?
Currently,
All the time you want.
You've
You've got a portal.
So that just means your travel time is reduced.
Yeah, your travel
Yes.
time is reduced, but you get to start making a lot of arrangements.
Yeah.
And I would say that of all of you, Drachnamir would have the best chance of getting the dwarves on the side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he, even though he is a cleric, he's not an arcane caster, he's not a dragon, and he's not an elf.
Yeah.
Lani would be the next one likely to do so,
But
except
I'm a
for
female.
except for the fact that he's a cleric gives him that leg up.
Yeah.
That clerical aspect is very important to them.
A bit like
Yeah.
being a paladin in Yalarum.
Yeah. Plus his sort of shamanic style, which sort of suits
Just
him.
sits.
But those dwarves keep mining all that metal out.
Yeah. And yes, I'm carrying an artifact of Masakine, who is a dwarven god. Except it's now an elven sword.
They may not appreciate it the same way they might once have.
No, they wouldn't. Plus, they'd look at the runes and go, "Who the fuck are you?"
Or they might have records
Because
of those runes,
I'm-
which could be even worse.
Yes, that would be bad. In fact, I've just thought of something. I can't take this sword out in the hometown of my parent clan because that's where the major tree scholars are,
So they know how to read
and
those
they
runes.
know all the runes.
Yeah. That's funny.
I can't take the sword out.
Ooh, look at my shiny sword!
But you do know that since you had been recognised as a clan by the Sylvan Elves, you can now carry the sword into Elfhelm Town.
Yes,
Without
Which you
the
couldn't
alarms
do
going
previously.
Yes, without the alarm to go off, that's right. Yeah. But yes, if anyone at home said did you pick up any nice stuff, I can show them the wooden sword that I picked up with the Fear name tag on it. I got a tree protector sword. Isn't this nice? Ignore this other sword, you can't see it.
So
What
if
sword?
it was a tree protector sword, it would most likely be a white wood made from the
Oh,
tree
yeah.
of life.
Yeah. Yes.
Basically worth more than most characters will see in their lifetime.
Yep. Just for historical value.
Oh no, not for historical value.
Oh,
Value.
oh sorry, no. Is
It has a direct
as
link
its
to the
magical
tree.
value. Yes. Because it's a sword of one of the tree protectors.
And it's still living wood.
Yeah.
The wood is not dead.
Yes.
So do we have
Yes. As a pure magical item, it's actually pretty basic.
do we have an idea of where we want to start?
Redrin suggests that you'll probably end up spending the next many months separated, talking to the various
Oh, so
groups.
we're going to split up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Gotta cover more
suggest,
ground.
I would suggest meeting here or in
Here would recommend Darken City because that's the,
Darken
that's the
City.
hub.
yeah.
Particularly
Darren,
when the
whatever the central one,
Mhm.
meeting in the central Red Red Inn, probably once a week, so that each of us know where the other one is and we might be able to help each other. And also, so we're not feeling so alone, reducing a little bit of the personal and emotional pressure of what the hell we're about to do.
Technically, I'm not on this list for contacting anyone, so I can always keep someone company.
Well, you can talk to the dragons. Even
Well-
though they're presently at war, you can probably get some dragons involved. Help with the Dragonborn, maybe. Who else are you connected to? The Queen of Darkness. Now, that would be an amusing one to bring.
You could open
Maybe
the
not.
alarm as well.
Yeah, technically I've already written to her and asked her about that sort of stuff, so it's a matter of waiting to hear back.
And the dragons don't talk about their influences, so the dragons have a lot of influence, but
Right.
they don't tell anyone but dragons where
That's
they are.
news to
Yeah.
me, but sure.
You're
I'm
too
not
young
aware
for-
of having any influences beyond
Yeah.
having a friendship with
Yeah. Well,
the avatar of the Queen of Darkness. I don't know whether or not
Yeah.
that means I've got any more influence with the Queen of Darkness. Or if she's
obviously
free.
a complicator to consider when you're making your discussions and pictures, particularly for places like Lantry and Theatis, is trying to convince them that the Master is the more immediate existential threat, and
The whatever nonsense they got going on.
yeah.
the other the nation across the street is going on my head, but
Alphatian Empire.
yes.
Because Jeremy knows that at the end of this game year, Alphatia declares war,
Right.
which
And
really throws
that hasn't
off the
happened yet
picture.
to this one?
No, it happens at the end of the game year.
At the end of the game year.
So,
Okay,
in
I'm
about
Yeah.
8 months'
that's
time.
in code, so.
10th level is basically after they've declared war, but before they engage.
Yeah.
They spend
Okay, yeah,
an entire year building up
certainly-
their forces.
Certainly there's been some build-up and hostile action or events that have led up to the declaration of war
There's
happening this year.
There's been lots of threats, yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that was where the burning of the fleets led to it being further.
What
Which was
about
one of the catalysts.
Autolycus as well.
Autolycus could potentially get Theatans, but if he gets caught up in Theatis, he might be going elsewhere.
Yeah. He might be.
He could potentially convince people from Darkin, Lantry, and Karamikos who share his heritage.
Yeah.
It would be
And he
s-
can also,
Actually, all of those would be useful.
and he can also help
Oh.
with the Islanders because,
Yeah.
again, he's a sailor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you could
So-
I mean, Kalamikos is one that they're probably not necessarily going to provide much in the way of military forces, but they're probably a good source of adventuring personnel. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
Well, they actually do have a standing army. Which
they do have a standing army, but it's not necessarily a huge one,
No,
or one that would
it's-
be that they'd be willing to move off to defend other places.
It's still a useful power to work on.
but as they also rely on
So
food
typically,
from
Pirate
Darrakin,
King and that.
if the food from Darrakin stops, Karamikos will fall.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have enough farmland to sustain themselves.
Yep.
So you and Tolicus then are
Yep.
teaming up.
Yep.
So it's Lul and
No.
Neri.
On the elves. In
And-
different ways.
Draknum will go probably his own way.
Might go well with
Can see.
Calcrix.
Yeah, I was going
I was going to say,
you
Yeah,
go.
Dragima's likely to quite happy to go Celtic on the fact that
Yeah.
he's figuring that any interaction with the Atruaghins can actually be fairly quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the main point would be that he knows that they're effectively going to be ready to be gathering, because at a moment's notice, just saying they've been doing it for their history,
Yeah.
gathering for
Yeah.
this year,
Yeah.
and they're not like, he's not aiming for them to be coming out of the plateau,
Yeah.
Yeah. But they
just
probably will anyway.
ensuring that the plateau forces the funneling of the Master's forces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
Like the
there's
plateau holds.
There's also the thing too that if we're meeting once a week, we can each ask each other, look, could you take a couple of days off and help me with
With
this?
this person, yeah.
So
Because there is some
we're
crossover.
we're still going to be able to work as a group, just not all together and not all at the same time.
And most of the time you're setting
So-
up the diplomatic relations, you're not actually finalising.
Exactly. And if it comes down to it, because I can do most of that. I can do the actual finalising, or at least finalise setting it up, and if you're just sort of presenting a case
Like,
for someone, for me, say, or whatever,
Yep.
to get to the point of them going yes, and then we sort of finalise it elsewhere, whether it's me or someone more senior.
well, that then does raise the question of the fact that are we going out as formal representatives of Darrakan?
No.
Because who's technically, who are we negotiating on behalf of?
Okay, the person we're going to go and see in Salonika is the General of Darrakan,
Well,
basically.
You are technically representing the Council of Darrakan
Yeah, they give
through
us
the
the-
merchants
Yeah, for this. Yes.
for this purpose.
Yeah.
So you are representing.
We are representing Darrakan as contractors.
And basically ask what can be given to aid them, as there's currently no other war elsewhere,
Yep.
and they've just lost a big chunk of their nation to an invading force.
Yep. Yeah, so, well, we are, yeah, that is the point. We are strictly defending Darrakan, so we're working for Darrakan on behalf of Darrakan with everyone else. So there's your presentation.
Are we taking any representative or official representatives of Darrakan with us, in the sense that we're basically acting as opening the front door for the formal diplomats to come through, or we're acting on Darrakan's behalf
That's up to Darrakan.
and we're reporting back to Darrakan what we've achieved?
Did a character wish to become a Lord of Darrakan at this point? Well, technically,
Can I do both?
well, you can be a Lord of Darrakan as long as someone else is leading your family.
Which I could do.
Which
And
means
it's
you do have
actually-
the official capacity to.
It would give me the authority needed to do what we need to do.
I don't want to be a lady.
I'm good.
As it
Oh,
does. need-
title.
Sure,
Yeah,
it's a title, but how
yeah.
much is Lonnie actually a lady? Let's hear it.
You could be a lord, to be honest.
No.
Nah, it's all good, it's all good.
No, you go up to the Norse. You go up to the Norse people. They've got ladies and princesses and so on who are
Go for a Marquess.
Yeah.
Just as refined as you are.
Yeah, it would be Yorless. But,
And from the Norse, Lord or Lady has absolutely no real difference in their eye.
yeah, it's the same.
Because if a lady can't hold a sword, she's obviously not a lady.
Honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're going for Pirate King.
Yeah.
It's genderless.
Exactly.
They sort of look at being a noble the same way.
I think with where Lani collects titles, though, I don't think Lady or Lord matters. It's a title.
So does
Only if it comes with a cool title.
It's
That's
got to have
the
Lady
difference.
of something.
so does Lani wish to gain a title amongst the RND?
Ooh.
Yes, you
Yes.
do.
Very cool.
Yes, you do.
You can start off as a Lord of RND, which does give you some...
That's right, because then they have the whole fight for like King, Queen, or whatever each year, which is
Yes.
separate. It's not that they're married or whatever.
Yes. And that the King and Queen can be either male or female.
Yes.
Yep.
But the King has a role and the Queen has a role.
Yeah.
Normally the King is male and the Queen is female. But that's only
But-
because
Oh, yeah.
contenders want the title, not the actual job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the King and Queen aren't a couple, they're just positions.
Yeah, they're just positions. Yes, Lani would like to try to earn the title of...
So the titles of nobility are given out for people to do tasks. So Lani will have most likely performed some tasks for the R&D.
Yep.
Here's the thing. If you've been the king and somebody else gets the position, do you have the title of like Duke afterwards?
No, whatever title you had previously, you still get the former king as a title.
Right.
But your
So an ex-king isn't anything special except they've been a king.
except for being a king.
It's
Right.
a little bit like president.
To be fair, normally an ex-king is dead.
Except for in R&D, the king is only a 4-year term.
So that's what I mean, so it's a good thing to be an ex-king.
Alright.
Okay, so Calcrix.
So there's a temptation for you. Ex-king and ex-queen.
Ooh, get both.
Does Calcrix wish to have a home in any of the nations
Because they've
nearby?
probably got a specific title name.
As in-
I feel like that should be a much more complex question than a yes/no.
Because she could pretty much have align herself with any of the nations nearby here, because most of them would accept a dragon in their midst, because most of the dragons have left.
Which was the one that threw a birthday party?
The one that threw her a birthday party,
Do you remember?
I can't remember which one threw her a birthday party.
So that'd be the only one that's ever made her feel at home. All the other ones, she's a dragon, they're like, wow, dragon, but, they've not necessarily made her feel...
You're like, wow, dragon, but to your face, wow,
Oh,
dragon.
that was the Galantrians actually.
Yeah.
The Galantrians threw your birthday party.
Yeah, but we've already got Blantrins, so I'm guessing that's not a helpful...
Actually,
Oh, it's still
no.
useful because
No.
they're very complicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Galantrians would accept, you would be treated as an equal in Galantry more so than anywhere else.
Well, yeah, that's Glantry
Because
actually made a huge effort for her birthday, so...
very cool. I can spell custom.
Yeah, well, they gave her
With training from a different
training,
school.
and she was given some very nice gifts and things like that as well. But they also just treated her really well, and they treated her kind of like, well, as I said, it's the first place that's ever made her feel accepted and at home outside of maybe where Thala comes from, because she spent a fair amount of time there, but I can't remember where Thala comes from.
Elfine.
Elfine, do we need help with that?
You've got lots of elves.
So let's go with Galantry, I guess.
Yeah, so
There's no other anywhere else that you remember aside from maybe Yalarum.
Kilarum would be one of the other places, but that was more the Queen of Darkness.
Yeah.
Thyatus, problematic. They want to get you to help them in their war effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Uh,
That's what
no.
not what Calcrick
Not
thinks
with
of when
their
she
fault.
thinks of a home, and she's not a political beast just
The
yet.
northern reaches are more about finding battle. So Norse dragon doesn't fit as well into their society as other places. Karamekians would probably be going, cool dragon, why are you here?
Yeah.
The Five Shires will probably be throwing parties all the time.
No, I don't know. She could get down with that.
Yeah.
Lonnie would 100% invite Calcrax to go with her to the Shires.
She's good at parties. She likes parties.
Well, the other thing is, you're the same eye height.
That's true. At the moment, that's true. She's also friends to a lot of gnomes, though.
Yeah.
In fact, she's got her biggest
Because of the
connection
gnome
would be the
network.
gnomes. So
And then
So
would it possibly actually
Gnomes
be
and
the
halflings.
most appropriate for her to claim a gnomish homeland?
go.
possibly, except for the gnomes are less likely to want a.
Are they anti-dragon?
They're not anti-dragon.
Yeah.
They're anti-signing up to most things.
Okay.
Because they've tried to stay out of the wars of others. Because their technology is able to be abused,
Yeah.
that they've tried to take it away from the rest of the world,
Yeah.
which
fair
is
enough.
why they haven't shared their.
What about
ways
in
of life.
terms of resources, though, like food and stuff like that?
They trade with people, and they provide trade between nations.
And lending us an airship.
Pardon?
And lend us an airship.
Well,
That's one of the reasons they've stayed neutral.
yeah.
And kept
Calcrix
away
wouldn't
from
ask
people.
them for technology, but she might ask them for resources like
Yeah.
food and things like that, which could be hard to come by when you're stuck in a war.
So they're at the top of a lot of mountain ranges for the reason of they've kept their technology out of reach of the average person.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe Glantry makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Possibly halflings and maybe gnomes, but with a very hands-off boss thing. And Yularum is really just Queen of Darkness, not Yularum.
So you'd think you'd be able to convince the gnomes to help once the master actually invades the heart of Durham.
Yeah.
But till then, they're weapons of war.
But you could prepare for it.
If the weapons of war got into the hands of the opposition,
That would be
you wouldn't be able to stop them. You think a lot of their technology is based on ancient gnomish devices, not current gnomish devices.
Yeah. So it's definitely worthwhile preparing the gnomes.
I'd say,
But-
yeah, I'd go with the Glantry gnomes and halflings. Would be
And you'd also find a question of, are the gnomes already supporting our faction?
There is that.
Because they had most of their skyships there when it went down.
Yes, they might want to get revenge on whoever did that.
Is there any place particular where a dragon's influence would be more, well, you know, any of these list of places where the rest of these guys don't have much of a hold, where her being a dragon is actually an advantage in getting some influence over them?
They're called the Norworld region to the north. Everyone there respects the dragons more than everyone else.
The regions of the north?
Called the Norworld region.
Norwold. N-O...
WOLD.
Yeah, that's the Viking tomes.
That's where the Vikings came from originally.
Yeah.
So that sounds like...
And they're currently dealing with an undead army attacking Lender because someone stole their jewel.
Is it a
Right.
green seed-like looking jewel?
Yeah.
Okay. Could things be assisted if that green seed-like looking jewel ended up back where it belonged?
Quite possibly. You do have a bargaining chip there.
Well, I've got a spare. Nobody knows that though.
You have a spare
The other
green
factor, of
jewel.
course, to consider when you're going
I
places like
accidentally
the
ended up
WaR.
with two very, very important magical green jewels.
2 out of 5 that the vampire based on Bram Stoker's Dracula from Karamikos is hunting.
Yeah, and I managed to somehow get a hold of them without anybody figuring out that I've got them. Every time I try to remember how I got hold of them, I see a very Alice in Wonderland-like cat and its teeth, and then I lose all memory of the last couple of days. So I spent a lot of time not thinking about how I got them, just that I have them.
So it's worthwhile you going up there.
Yeah.
The reason why those jewels have been safe is no one can remember where they are.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
Because
the question is giving it back
going
to endanger them again, and is the danger of giving it back worse than the danger of not giving it back?
Because just across the mountain range from that nation is where the undead are fighting. That's where all the vampires are currently congregated.
And they're going to be, again, a more existential threat, a lot closer to home than the Master ever will be, or at least Master will ever be until it's actually wiped out all of Daraka and beyond.
So the rumour is if the vampire can get the 5 gems back again because he created them in the first place, he can end all life.
Another existential.
So it's possibly better for Calcrix to hold on to the gems in the long term, but yeah. How big of forces are we talking about with the Vikings?
Well, the guys north of the Vikings, you've got many nations.
Okay.
And one of those being at the High Elf nation of Wendar. So
Wendar was what you mentioned, I forgot.
The Haldanic territories, which is a bunch of goody two-shoes, warmongering
I know who
zealots.
Yeah.
I know who they are.
So goody two-shoes in quotes.
Well, they're good to the letter of their scripture.
In terms of
So
fighting
we
this
point them
war,
at the vampires and let them have at it.
They're the ones currently fighting with the Ethengarians over Holy War.
Yeah, we point them at the vampires. Give them something better than them.
And unfortunately, no matter how much you point, you can't get past the bigotry they're currently dealing with.
yeah.
That's what I mean is getting people when hatred is rampant to point where you want them to go is very hard.
And that's the problem you said we'll have with the Alphatians.
That's right. The only way you can probably get the Ethengarians and the Haldans to both fight against the Master is if you manage to get the Master between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the Master to threaten something that they hold dear.
Yeah. I don't know, their life and freedom.
They don't care about that.
Yeah, I know. Both of you are like,
One of their churches. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'd say
And so
maybe
again, that's where you're going to have your trouble. The further afield you go with your allies, the harder it is going to be to try and convince them to say that actually, Americans were saving because they're good.
Yeah, so we're not even going to try any of the other continents.
But like, well, I said, but even like when you're going, I think you find difficulty convincing the Ethengarians, and when you go further north than that, you're going to be fighting even harder and harder you go.
so
When you're talking about the northern world, that means you've gone past the Ethengarians, past the Haldans.
We'll keep it to the Glantrians, the Halflings, and the...
And to the north of the Haldans and the Wendarians, it's the Dragon Nation, in the centre of Norwald. They call it the Worm's Teeth Mountains, everything along that ridge line.
Yes, if we go to the right place, we can discover half-elves, but we don't know they exist, or do we?
There's still rumours of horror stories. Their way to the east, on the other side of the
variant elves. And that's not all anyone's ever going to talk to, refer to them as to.
No,
so you can find Alphatian colonies to the north if you go far enough, as well as Latin colonies and Halfling colonies and Norse colonies. They may be willing to send people south
But it'll be adventurers rather than forces.
Yeah.
And hey, adventurers might be far more useful than
Oh yeah.
a bunch of yeah.
Immortals.
Yes.
So, does that mean at this point, in terms of gameplay, we are just going off to do that now? What does that look like in terms of gameplay?
In terms of gameplay, your characters go off and spend roughly a year chasing down all these various people, and then we figure out which ones you have managed to convince to help you.
And how do you do that?
We talk about it in game.
Okay.
Yep.
So is that something that would happen conceivably we'd start doing now?
We can conceivably start doing it now.
Okay, cool.
So it won't necessarily be all charisma rolls and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well that's what
Yeah.
I was trying to visualise.
But that's why I was talking about get together once a week,
Yeah.
because if you need someone who needs explicit persuading,
It's
I'll
an
be right
excellent
there.
idea. It's perfect because if you find that you're needing more influence, you're not getting anywhere, you can grab one of the others. And as you
Yeah.
said, if you're feeling a bit downhearted and that, you can,
there's always
pull out the pom-poms for whoever needs it. And so
And
on.
you'd be spending months courting the various places, not constantly, but jumping between all the places you can talk to
yes.
and
But,
doing so.
Yeah, I fully expect to be doing for the group what I was doing for those troops in that first campsite we were in. Basically, not just being a diplomat, but I was basically acting as a psychologist at the time. I was helping these troops who were rather beaten down to
Yeah.
get over their depression and PTSD.
Yeah, because
It's a little faster than a psychologist, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll be doing that with you guys.
fast and
Right?
So I'll start off with what would
Because
Lani's
someone's
pitch?
got to be the heart, basically.
So what would Lani's pitch be to the halflings?
ooh, channel Princess Leia. You're wearing the t-shirt.
No, there we go.
It doesn't suit Lani as a character though. It doesn't.
Oh,
Her with a blaster. Yeah.
Pew pew. I would say for to the halflings. Ooh, here's the question though. Am I talking about halfling pirates or am I talking about halflings of the Shires?
Most
Yes.
people don't know the difference.
That's true. But does Lonnie know the difference?
As far as Lani's concerned,
They're all ruthless?
someone who's not on a ship at the moment has potential to get on a ship, and most of them
Just as dangerous.
are amongst the most horrific pirates on the waters, and they like to retire because they live longer than people.
Yeah, yeah. So
and
she
some of them
will
retire to the Shires.
she will go to
Yeah.
the Shires and hope to share a mead or 5 with some of the leaders of the Shires, and say, at this time, there is a great threat that is coming across the land that will reach even here to the peaceful Shires. That unless we get a group of warriors from everywhere, essentially, there is no chance of defeating. I'm forthcoming and saying that I'm here on behalf of the nation of Darkin, but I come plead to them as somebody who respects and admires and has worked with some of the halfling sailors.
Is it possible, since Calcrix has come on, she does the introduction, uses all of Lani's titles and maybe gives
All the titles.
a couple of short stories of Lani's triumphs and how she helped to destroy the Orb of Destruction, and what a great seafaring, partying female warrior she is.
That would help.
Dudum, sort of thing.
As many titles as possible and as much of a party as a good time.
Yeah.
Again, line
And-
direction to this.
Oh, and she'll amp them
all
all
the
up on coffee,
R&D and
hopefully.
all of the halflings will be quite into both of those.
Absolutely.
Okay, you find that you get a bunch of Amazonian-style women signing up because most of them are retired former figureheads for the ships of the halflings and have been bored with the sedentary life, ranging from the ages of 40 plus for humans. But you remember
Don't
some of
underestimate
them
experience.
through history, having been some of the pirate queens that have been of history.
Well, that's the thing. It's never underestimated experience.
So-
Anyone like that who's lasted
Because
long enough
basically-
to retire,
They all look like they know how to use weapons quite well, and whole bunches of retired halflings are sharpening their swords because, well, hey,
I fight some.
they're retired and they get to beat someone up
Yes.
because
It's been years.
they can't send their army because their armies are stopping the pirates that they call from the Black Eagle Barony from invading, which is one of their borders.
Absolutely.
And there are orcs in the mountains that occasionally come out and annoy them.
Completely reasonable.
Plus, of course, you're friends with a really cute elf
Yeah.
that they can
There you go.
ogle at, if nothing else.
There you go. So yeah, I will definitely, like, within these negotiations, whenever we're talking about who is available and what's not, I'll absolutely give them my utmost gratitude for giving, or for allowing these great warriors to come along at this time of great need in these uncertain times.
Well, you find at least one or two Amazonian women in each town.
Yeah.
Because, well, they've retired all over the nation because
Exactly.
they don't get hassled here. Anyone tries to hassle them, a bunch of halflings kill them.
Yes. If they don't kill them themselves.
Well, they don't need them to do so because then they won't be retired.
That's a good point. They
So-
want to stay retired.
They don't have to lift a hand at all. All they have to do is look distressed and suddenly a whole bunch of halflings swarm them.
Unless they want to get in a bar fight. Yes. I'm not fighting. I'm having a bar fight. It's not the same thing, boys.
I'm not fighting, I'm in a brawl.
Yes.
Lonnie learns everything she can from these women.
I'm not in danger, I'm just having some fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leave me to my fun.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He kicked him and he punched him and he threw him over the table, and then there was a little bit of a smash into one of the beer mugs, and then someone pulled a knife out and a fight started.
And most of the women are human. There are a couple of elves, a few dwarves, which is fairly rare. And they come from all of the human races.
Cool.
Because anyone who wishes to sign up with the halflings, well, I'll take anyone on as a figurehead.
Yep.
And
People
amongst
survive.
the Amazonians are a couple of male Amazonians because, well, the halflings don't see any difference between male or female in terms.
Yeah.
But they call them Amazonian and the males don't care.
Yep.
We're in a society now that is enlightened to a degree.
Yeah.
But
Enlightened to the extent of they don't care. So, which is fine.
And they tell the best stories.
This is exactly who Lonnie wants to become.
To a point, some of them are going to be melee-focused bards.
Just about all of them are melee focused.
No, I know, but bards. But or
At
at
this
least
stage.
partly bards.
Yeah. Yeah, this is everything that Lonnie aspires to be.
2 levels of bard on you.
Possible. I do know some sailing songs.
Or just learning performance. Yeah.
She does
And-
know performance.
I was gonna say
Yeah, and voice is an instrument.
I've learned some.
So yes, you're not exactly sure how many people are signed up because they do like to conceal their numbers
Of course.
Yeah.
and their names and their histories.
And yeah, a lot of things.
Apparently, most of them were wanted in a lot of nations for crimes against humanity.
Yeah, because they were there when the halflings were doing horrible, horrible things.
Okay, so where does Drachnomir head
That's
to
me
gain some support?
Can't get it. Thanks.
Dracula will certainly spend some time up in the tribes, on the plateau, and in the area just at the base of the plateau, which is still part of the Atruaghin land. But not so much trying to rally a force that will sally forth from the plateau, but merely to ensure that the plateau is a pillar that the master can't actually get over. He has to go round.
Yeah.
And so to that end, he'll be aiming to allow and continue to encourage the tribes to maintain their practice for the final battle of 2010.
I can see them coming out in small groups and attacking Master's troops.
I was going to say, probably acting as
Skirmishes.
a bit of a stone wall to the Master and skirmishing along the way.
So their form of warfare is also the same as marriage proposals. So the people that they assault, they then take into their terrain.
Yeah.
Depends on
And it's not like we want to actually grab any people from off the plateau.
Yeah,
They're not worthy of being chosen.
that's where them skirmishing off the plateau comes into a bit of a problem.
That's right. So that's just it. Like, Dracula is not encouraging them to actually to go beyond the plateau at all, or beyond the Atruaghin lands. Merely ensuring that the Atruaghin lands becomes a pillar under which or by which the master can't go over, and therefore they're doing their job by funneling the forces into an area that can be more easily controlled.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, if there was attempts by the master to actually penetrate the plateau, then that's what the tribesmen are prepared for. But hey, just like any bunch of hillbillies, they're constantly fighting amongst themselves, but never get a fight against them.
Yeah.
Because then they'll all be dead, they'll all band together.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's where there's 41 guns per one person in the outback type thing.
So while you're in there discussing that with them, you do get to find that under the plateau itself are a bunch of caves dedicated to the Dragonborn,
Okay.
which you didn't know about previously.
It's like sounds like somewhere we should go.
This is different from the Atruaghin palace that was down in the bottom, like in the forest of the Tiger Clans.
This is under the actual Great Plateau itself.
Well, I guess that makes it easy. That makes it easy. The next question is the idea of, okay, yes, we'll try and form the Dragonborn into more of a cohesive force. Pretty exactly where we went to, but okay. Nice to know that that's where they gathered. Because I couldn't remember, like, if I knew that Drazel had taken Dracula to meet the Dragonborn and the tribes, but it was never described exactly how much Dracula knew of or remembered of the journey to get there.
He was talking with them, but he never had memory of how to get there and get out.
That's what I thought, yeah, that's what I thought was the case.
Because dragons have a way of keeping that private.
Yes. All fine to be their war, as long as you know where they are, how to get to them.
Yes.
In which case then, yeah, well, what kind of numbers, force and cohesion are we looking at down under the caves of within the plateau then?
So looking in there, it seems that The dragon tribe is made up of 5 different tribes, each specializing in one of the elements.
Oh,
Right.
that's interesting.
Okay, so but the dragon tribe, it still comes under Turtle Clan, as far as the Atruaghin is concerned. Is that the case?
As far as you know, yes, but you're feeling that there's as much of them as there are of the Turtle Clan,
Yeah.
Yes.
so they could potentially be a clan in their own right.
Yeah, yes, it's actually more a dragon clan with 5 tribes underneath it.
Yes. Which would
And
be,
the turtles just try and claim them as a...
They've
but that's
been,
also because of the fact that above ground, considering the fact that the Dragonborn only effectively announced themselves 10 years ago or less, yes, they effectively have hidden their numbers and have hidden under the Turtle Clan in that sort of sense.
so they have a hidden city on the southern coast of the Atruaghin lands called the Bay of Whales Clutch, which is where Druzzle's from.
right.
Yep.
That's the Dragon City. And the tribes have basically outreach from there with many tunnels built under the plateau, making use of its structure to conceal their numbers.
Yeah.
So the amount of Dragonborn you've seen above ground is probably like a handful, and you can quite easily see they probably have a couple of battalions of Dragonborn down here.
So the first challenge that Nima has is confirming how willing they are to expose how numerous they might be at the present time.
Yeah.
Because obviously they've been hiding that factor from the world since they've come out. But obviously, if they were willing to gather and fight en masse, then that would certainly be a very significant power that would not have been counted on by the Master or anyone else.
The elders dare defer to you and Druzzle because Druzzle's older than any of them, and there are no dragons present.
Aren't I?
Well, there are no dragons present in their communities.
Yeah.
Having the dragons gone off to do other things.
Yeah.
And they've just been sending more troops this way.
Yeah.
So they've been under command of dragons in their entire existence,
Yeah.
or that might be. Without that command, they're happy to accept direction and command from others, which again puts back into this case of thinking that, oh goody, so they will do everything he says. Then it's a case of, is it right for him to have them do everything he says?
Yeah, Druzzle suggests keeping them secret until needed.
Yeah.
Because once you let that cat out of the bag,
Yeah.
you
Not
won't
put
be
it back
able
in.
to.
The surprise is going to be probably literally the turning point in the war.
Yeah.
But then,
what we're
do they
doing
need
is
to take-
also turning points.
to be in this war? Or do we need to hold the that ace in the hole
For a different
or
war?
something bigger?
Druzzle does tell you these aren't only Dragonborn.
Do you say these aren't the only or were the only?
These aren't the only Dragonborn. There are
Aren't the
other.
only.
There are other tribes in other regions.
Right, so yeah, so his Bay of Whales city is only one of the cities.
Yeah. You are told that there should be one dragon city in each major nation at least.
Okay, I was about to ask the fact that, does that mean that, how close is the next, is the others? Because I was immediately assuming that it was going to be, there might be another one to the far north of the continent and maybe one to the far, far east or something.
He does say that there is a former city in the Malfegi swamps.
Calcrix, presumably,
Yep.
asks these other communities, cities of Dragonborn, is it worth getting in contact with them and asking them if they'd be willing to help us against the Master, if it comes to it?
Well, I guess the first question is...
just as prepared.
They may have other tasks.
Fair enough.
so the first question for me would actually be, obviously you and the Dragonborn have been doing a very good job of hiding yourselves for a very long time, but no one knew of your existence until a few years ago.
Until 8 years ago.
Is there a reason you've been hiding, and why you've exposed yourselves now, and how much more exposure than the Dragonborn take or should take?
Drizzle says sooner won't matter.
Right. And is that part of why the exposure has begun?
Dragonborn needed for reason, he says.
So it looks like all he's willing to say is that this is the Dragonborn you get, keep them secret until the last minute, the other Dragonborn are around, but they've got their own things to do.
Well, okay, because they're here for a reason. Our decision is whether our current reason is that reason, or whether there's another reason.
Yeah.
Drizzle does say he set up Dragonborn for a reason, but Drizzle not able to say reason.
Right.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this whole network is Drazzle's doing. And he can't say because he's fidgeting with time, and the less you say when you're fidgeting with time, the better.
Well, if he doesn't know what reason they're set up for,
He might
then it can not be used against him.
Yeah.
And if he's...
He can't give the secret away when the gods come and catch him in Decleration City.
Yeah.
And when you play with things that can read minds, not knowing what's happening is a very good defense. As I'm sure the Wells realize, dealing with various creatures.
Oh yeah.
Who basically say your questions as you're thinking them. So yes, the three of you with Calcrix gets to meet a whole bunch of Dragonborn who happily follow her around and tell her stories.
She takes note of them all.
Because Calcrix
Is Eep capable of being a scribe?
Eep is always happy to draw pictures.
Okay. Eep can pretend to scribe.
I will
And,
go for what we're doing. It's probably worthwhile each of us employing an NPC as a secretary for taking notes.
Russell's been doing that for you for many years.
But he can't do it for all of us.
You do notice that...
No, he could, but he's busy.
Technically, there are each group that goes off has a Drizzle with them.
Dragon with everyone.
Yeah.
So you can say you've spent all this time with Drizzle and find out that at the same time you had Drizzle, Bractomir had Drizzle.
Yeah.
And then Lani had Drizzle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he has been scribing for everyone.
Yeah.
He doesn't always show you what he scribes, but he has been scribing for everyone.
I would say though that
we want our own NPCs. We should each get a secretary.
Calcrix, as per usual, keeps a journal every night. She not just prays to her god, but she writes in her journal and she sends letters off to people.
Anything important will be tattooed, so it doesn't matter.
I'm just trying to write down something so I don't forget it.
Why do you do that?
So funny because I'm the one that writes everything.
Yeah.
Compared to Lani, she's like,
Yeah, but that's everyone's
She'll remember.
memory.
Yeah.
And besides, Lani, all she needs to know is what her titles are.
Exactly. She's gonna know where he was.
Okay, so Dracnomir spends a bit of time and finds out that the Dragon Network, whilst extensive, is currently shut down because of the what they call the Chroma Conclave happening up in Norwald.
Yeah, so that was just the last step. Okay, yeah, so the various Dragonborn cities have lost contact with each other,
Yeah.
but the
Well, they do speak, but they don't connect anymore.
sorry, what was that?
They do speak with each other, but they've shut down their connections.
So they can speak, but they can't directly transfer between, or
Yeah,
okay?
they've shut down their teleportation network.
Okay, so we've got communications but not movements. Do the dragons, or if the Dragonborn got in trouble, are the dragons likely to take an interest, particularly given their current chrono wars?
No, you'd think the dragons are too busy fighting amongst themselves right now that the Chroma Conclave would take the advantage and destabilize the Dragon Nation if they do. From what you've heard of the Chroma Conclave, their ideas are that the dragon should be in charge, whereas the current dragon rulership are let the masses rule themselves and they'll stay hidden and just pull the strings from behind.
Yep.
And so while both of them would technically be in charge, one of them lets you run your life as you choose. The other one will tell you how to live your life.
And will treat you as a food resource.
Yes.
So then, the main focus of Dracnima's negotiations or desires out of the Dragonborn city, the Bay of Whales Clutch, and the surrounds would be, from that one particularly, the idea of how easily can they get out of the plateau, and looking particularly when they know of exit points at the base of the plateau since they're already inside it, or do they have to go to the top and come down?
I've taken it.
Mine's in the middle.
Yeah, okay.
They do say that they can create openings as needed.
Okay, good.
They just choose to keep everything sealed, so no one can sneak up on the Atruaghin from below.
That sounds good. So,
The reason that they're there is they had made an agreement with the Atruaghin gods to seal off the underneath of the Atruaghin from everything else.
yeah. So the Dracnima's point or preference then would be that the Dragonborn potentially send or provide some largely token forces officially towards any growing army or military force, but have significant forces ready to be able to come out from the flanks of the Master's troops if called upon at relatively short notice.
Okay.
So they would be a surprise to both the Desert Tribe, the Master forces, but they would also be a surprise to any forces of the Darrakan as well. They're not ones that you would be talking to them about.
So they suggested Dracnomir to keep that concept in mind. They could send a flight of scouts, so there's no more than 1 or 2 scouts in any one location.
Yeah.
So that way that numbers would not be known. And because most people can't tell Dragonborn apart, if 2 Dragonborn happen to be out of the same city, they may think it's only one.
Makes sense.
And
Worth fighting.
Yeah. Plus they can recolor their scales by using the colours spell because they're all basically one colour. So yeah. Easy disguises.
So Dracula would also then be aiming to make communication with the other cities in like Malvegi Squab and go to them in person if he has the opportunity to again set up similar plans or contingency plans if the Master's forces get into the vicinity of those sort of areas.
So when you talk to the city in Yalarum, you find out that most of their Dragonborn are aimed towards incursions by Thyatis or Alphatia, because that's the biggest threat to that nation.
Yep.
And they are there to support the locals.
Yeah.
Because they've spent a lot of time, the dragons spent a lot of time helping rebuild the nation. That they didn't want to see it destroyed because of a petty war, as they put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like again, the Yalarum, that Nimmer would certainly be hopeful that the Master is not going to get nearly that far. They'd be more looking at say
the
Malfegi Swamp.
So the Malfegi Swamp city is long since deserted.
Okay, so that one's gone. Yep.
Yep. You actually got to see the ruins of it. The Alfheim settlement has been disbanded due to everyone there migrating north.
Right.
Yep.
The Five Shires one has been disbanded and gone south to Irendi, as has the Minroth had one, as they're basically building up forces on Irendi Island to stop a fleet coming that direction. Because a flight of dragons coming down on, even just Dragonborn coming down on a group of ships would devastate it.
Yep.
Especially with the use of magic and technology, because the gnomes are also based there.
Yeah.
They're basically putting themselves into positions of deterrence more than aggression.
Happy with that. Did they have anything set up in or under the Broken Lands and or Southern Glacier?
The Broken Lands one seems to be having some sort of negotiation with the orc community. So the King Thar has brokered a truce between the dragons and the and his forces, as long as they don't affect each other.
Right.
So
When you say dragons, you mean Dragonborn?
and dragons.
Okay.
Because the dragons are more at home in the Broken Lands than anywhere else, because a dragon can publicly walk there without scaring people.
Fair enough.
Right.
Plus they can all fly.
Yeah.
Almost all fly.
The ones in Galantry are currently up in the mountains, building up forces because they believe their lifestyle there is being threatened. And
Was there any forces under Sind?
no, wherever the Master's got his influence, there's nothing.
Was there anything there beforehand though?
There was some.
Well, I suppose the Master was effectively covering the officially if they only started, well, no, because the city's obviously been there longer than the last 8 years, except they started coming out in 8 years.
The dragons have been warned long beforehand to stay away from his influence, so every time he encroaches, they move.
Yeah, over that.
And they've had to abandon the whole western side of the nation for that reason.
It's interesting that they don't try to fight him.
They've been told that they'll be enslaved if they do.
Yeah, but considering the odds, but yeah.
So yeah, okay, well I'll certainly take up much of Jack Nimmer's time. One point that he would be also then looking for as a follow-on is whether or not the Dragonborn of the Bay of Wales clans can provide effectively an entry point to talk directly with the Dragonborn of the Broken Lands, to then act as a intermediary to actually get direct communications with the orcs of Far.
Good Calprin?
Because again, I suspect that an Atruaghin clansman used to dealing with having the various humanoids of various types that appear in the clans, can probably deal with the humanoids of Thar somewhat better than many others as well.
They could,
And,
but you are warned that the Dragonborn on the Broken Lands are supporting the Chroma Conclave at this stage.
Okay, but they say, to me it was also the aspect of getting communications potentially with this Orc of Thar to find out what his plans were, knowing the Master was coming. And whether or not he was going to use that as a effectively destabilising influence, and he was going to gather forces and ready to try and take out what was left, or whether he thought he might try and take out Darrican from the other side at the same time, or whether or not he might think we might be able to convince him that the Master is an existential threat, that he should actually join forces temporarily with Darrican
Yes.
to actually assist with the removal of.
Well, yes, you can reach out and try to get some information from Thar. I believe that would take a while.
Absolutely, and like it was certainly effectively a subsequent process as far as Dracula was concerned, and working on the idea that, well, no one else really had any potential diplomatic influence in, that it would be a role that he could take on once he figures he's done that. He can't do anything more with the Dragonborn.
That sounds fair. What about Lani with Kalkrix and
about-
the Minrathad people?
Oh, we haven't done.
I was going to come back when you got from back from the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to go to him next, but
So the Minrathad, they are the
Merchants.
ship merchants. I can't talk today. Yeah, I guess with that, I would just talk about, the mighty guild and, how they've been able to create such a great and vast merchant network. And, with that, like, you have some great work. I've been a privilege to help with some of the Minrathad ships. With that, there is this great threat coming across that will forever cease all trade within this continent. And so it would be in the best interest of business that if they do have any protectors that they are able to give to this cause, that would be great.
but they do tell you that a majority of their mercenaries are currently fighting under the sea. Because there is a war between the Atruaghin and the Tritons
Yes.
currently raging
Yes.
in their nation. But they are happy to start diverting trade towards Darrican and any nation that supports it.
That is. Yep. That
And
is.
giving them preference of goods.
That is extremely fair, balanced, and I would say like very, very welcome. Thank you so much. Kissing
Which would
ass.
give Lani a big bargaining chip to give to Luel, because a guarantee trade when you're
on the
expanding,
verge of war.
when you're basically doing expenditures.
Yep.
And the main person they'll be pulling trade from is the Thiatans, which the Arendi people dislike greatly.
So Lonnie, this is a win-win for Lonnie. Yeah, cool. So yeah, she thanks
And most of the
members of the guild for their time.
so the Arendi are happy to send squads of Marines to man the boats, simply because for them it's a training exercise.
Yeah, be great.
And for the pirates that join in, it's a training exercise. Because for most of them, they don't mind the ability to sink the opposition.
Because it's always a
and
bonus.
probably expect to get paid for with the loot they get from sinking them.
Perfect.
And Luell. So, how does Luell approach the Shadow Elves? Because once you've got them on side, it does cause complications.
I know.
I was going to say, which order do you try and get your forces?
Well, that's what I've been thinking about. I think the Shadow Elves first. Plus, I've also got to talk to my family about who's going to be taking over as head of the clan. Because yes, it's still my clan, but I'm not going to be able to do head stuff because I've got other things.
That can be acting rather than in permanent leadership.
Yeah,
It's the oldest member of the clan. He is the head of the clan.
Yeah. So it's whichever member of the family wishes to help.
Well, your mother's more than happy to step up and take charge because she's the most practical one of your family.
She's also the only one that really doesn't have a significant job right now, because my elder sister is a head cleric for a temple.
Of Ilsendal and, well, probably actually Raphael. Or in fact both.
And you do find that the lands that have been associated with Luell are technically outside the Elfin borders in the Darken lands.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically part of the forest growth, but not typically part of their lands because there is a bit of controversy with a Darken elf taking charge of a Elfin area. Politics always come in interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, the Darken. Okay, this is the presentation of them. The Darken thing is temporary. It's only while this is all over, so it might be a few decades.
If you then encroach and join them, you add more land to Elfin.
Yeah, so
They're taking the long road.
yes. Well,
And they're wanting to cut Darken in half.
Oh. Darken's already being cut in half.
Well, they're wanting to take the lands between the forest and the mountains to the south of Elfin.
well, if Elfheim goes up to the border of Salonika, then they're happy with that.
Well, they're actually wanting to go down and go down to Karamikos.
Well, mine's a step there. Come on, it might take a few thousand years, but they'll get there.
They're happy to work on it.
Of course they are.
And considering you're a Lord of Darken, you then can officially start building stuff along those lines.
Yes. So yeah, we can
Okay.
bit. Pardon?
I was going to say, some of the lords who, and I was thinking Darken, but I was actually thinking of blanks in my head. I was thinking some of the lords there are very long-lived as well. But
Oh yeah.
Darken, not so much. Darken, you got a higher turnover.
Yes.
Some higher than others.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, you do manage to get your mother to successfully take on that role. You have a discussion with the king of Agumar, the city of the stars.
Yeah.
He tells you that with their forces in the Sylvan realm, they don't have any to spare for you at this stage. Everything else has been already allocated.
We can work on contingency plans and other possibilities.
It's just, he'll have people freed up in hopefully not too long, but he can't guarantee forces at this stage.
Well,
You'll have them ready in no more than a decade or two.
yes. I will make the point of existential threat as existential threat, and if Darken falls, then there's going to be food issues.
Doesn't affect them because they aren't trade with Darrakan.
Okay, if Darrakan falls, it makes it easier to take over the land.
So if Darrakan falls, as far as they're concerned, they'll just take
Oh, sorry,
over.
it's the Shadow Elves I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Sorry.
The Shadow Elves are even worse than the Atruaghin.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make that argument with the Shadow Elves.
But they do tell you they don't have forces to spare.
Backing up a touch, we deliver a message to the General. How did that go?
That was the one about he was the one who prophesized to help save people.
Yes.
He started saying he had something like this when he was born, but nothing ever happened. He's happy to.
What about something happening now?
There's something happening now. He's in his 60s at the moment. He's spent his life studying war.
He's got the sort of wisdom we need as a war leader in that present situation.
And he has been fighting guerrilla warfare his entire life. Because mostly he's been stationed at Salonika dealing with orcs, giants, trolls, kobolds, hobgoblins, everything. You can imagine coming out of the ground trying to assault the region there.
And the occasional rampaging group of elves.
Well, the elves rarely come out of the forest.
Really, but they have.
And he rarely goes into the forest.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But they have that. It's one of the few forces that has a good relationship.
Yeah.
They don't cross the borders there. The elves would, on the Darrakan city side, had actually been on a rampage, but on the Salonika side had never been on a rampage.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So they've never had that bad blood.
So, looks like you've been called up to your life's call.
He does say, saying if that's the case, then Destiny says he will probably die on the battlefield.
Think of what you'll say.
He does not mind. He's lived a long life. He just does not want to give his life needlessly.
No. Well, this
Nobody
won't
does.
be. Well, this won't be needlessly if what we're doing works. We're going to be getting some help.
He's already been writing to the merchant princes about tactics to use against superior forces.
Excellent.
So, from what you hear, that's been what they've been using to design their controlled retreat.
Yes. Well, we're going to be should be able. Well, sorry, we are doing some recruiting, which would mean you'd probably want to look at sort of more proactive planning.
From what he's heard, the army we're up against is a seasoned, experienced, trained army, unlike anything anyone else has ever faced.
Yes. And we're going to try and put together something like that on our side. Although,
so any tactic he uses is not a confrontation.
of course not.
It's a withdrawal, a constantly withdrawal, so they can't actually pin them in place because none of the Darrakan troops can stand up to.
Yeah, this is all going to be guerrilla warfare, but it's going to be not a rolling retreat if we can get away with it.
Well, he's taken out superior forces with rolling retreats.
Exactly. Yeah, but not doing it as a retreat, doing it as a tactic.
I guess
We'll
it's
be
just
giving-
a case of names.
Yeah, well, it's terminology. We're not retreating.
that's the word.
We're using retreating as a tactic.
Yeah.
We're doing it to maintain ground rather than giving it up. And my history is going to get very useful for this as well.
I'm certain the General's history will be useful as well.
Oh God, yes. Well,
Which is the whole point, because he's in the prophecy.
yeah.
What was this prophecy again?
That he would be the one to stop the master.
Yes.
Yeah.
And history is used for tactics.
And you'd probably think that most people would go head on to stop the threat. Well, that is the standard tactic most
standard
people do.
tactic. But I have no problem with this because elves don't work like that.
Well,
generally.
actually, most of the elves from Alfheim have learnt the hit first and hit hard with everything has stopped the war in its tracks.
Yes, but that's still not confrontational. That's a targeted strike. It's still guerrilla warfare.
So in terms of what he needs, is there anything he needs that he doesn't have yet?
As many troops as possible.
Okay, so that's what we're
Definitely
working on.
if you need more troops.
Yeah.
And,
So that's what we're already doing.
and
I will tell him what we've got planned.
he had also said the variety of troops is more important than the strength of the troops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Versatility.
ability to adapt is more important than the ability to strike.
Yes, one of the reasons why recruiting groups of adventurers is actually useful.
So he starts to go off on that path. And what about Llewell in Alfheim?
I don't wave the sword about.
I'm sure it'll attract attention.
It will attract attention by people seeing the hilt. Would be quite enough to go, shit, that's a moonblade. Some people will know enough to go, shit, which moonblade is that?
Well, there's only supposed to be 10.
I know.
And there are 20 clans
Yes.
that they know of.
And this is the 11th, isn't it?
No, this is one of 10 other clans they don't know about.
No.
And you only
There
know
are how many actual moonblades are known of?
of the moonblades that are known of. This one was thought destroyed, so it's not one of the known moonblades.
Okay, this is a moonblade that is a number larger than the ones they know exist.
She got out Reese's and I remembered I had a huge bag of those. Did you want one?
It's also
No, you can't have one.
It's also
Do you want another one?
yeah, it's also a very different style. Actually, it was a different style beforehand, but now it's a different style.
I was gonna
again.
say it was different before. It's different way different
Yes.
But it's always been this way.
now. Yeah, but it's always that's the thing.
Yes.
It's been this way the whole time, but also it was different. But
Yes,
also,
you remember it being different, but it's always been this way.
It wasn't this way last month, but it's been this way all for all time.
Yes. It also
Mandela
was.
effect.
It also wasn't. It also didn't have a legendary staff embedded in it, but now it does and always has done.
But of course, as I said, when I mentioned the idea of waving the sword around to attract attention, I was being sarcastic. So
Well,
we'll
yeah.
assume that yes, you're not deflating it. That's
Well,
fine.
yeah, but this is a warlock walking into Alfheim wearing two swords. Actually, no, I will actually give you the other one.
Which one?
The wood one.
If you do, she will be accosted.
That's a good point.
Sorry.
Okay, I
Did you
will actually
say-
be wearing two swords.
Did you say you're a shadow elf walking into the elven realm with two swords?
Yep.
No, I did not say that at all.
You can keep one in my back,
Yeah.
not the moonblade.
Yeah,
But definitely
And
rat.
name does not start with D.
So you were met by a bunch of clan masters who are currently deferring to Beastmaster, one of the youngest clan leaders around. He's actually younger than you, and he's one of the oldest of his family.
That's a hell of a new clan.
No,
Or at least
it's
a
an old
clan that's lost all their elders.
and he's also one of the most experienced elves you've ever met.
Wow.
And he's covered literally in scars.
So his name was Beastmaster.
Beastmaster, yes. He's actually taken out aberrations that have rampaged through the forest without weapons.
Sounds like someone we want to recruit.
Wow.
Basically, the entire council defers to him on matters of warfare
Yeah, I can see that.
because he has kept the forest safe for many, for probably the last 50 years. And that was before he
Which
was an
means-
adult.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if he's younger than me, he's only been an adult for half a decade.
Apparently, he reached his adulthood a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He killed the creatures that killed his parents. Tracked them down, and apparently people heard it dying for over a week.
Wow. Okay, he's ridiculously capable and vindictive.
Extremely.
He's one of those elves that believes elves should only meddle in the affairs of other elves, and others should stick their noses out of their business.
Well, be hard recruiting, no man.
Yes, but because I know there's a couple of groups of elves that are like that.
The master might
very
be his
insular.
exception.
Well, my whole family is known as being very insular.
Partly because they're part Shadow Elf. That's a good reason to be insular.
Yeah, it's a good reason because they don't want people
Kind
to
of.
find anything out. But
If the surface elves found out he was part Shadow Elf, he would be treated as a criminal.
Yeah,
Automatically.
I get that.
and possibly referred to in the same sort of tones as most elves would refer to an orc.
Okay.
For similar reasons. Especially since most of the reason they hate the Shadow Elves is actually me.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you kinda
you're
do.
the...
Because I'm the thief of all the heroes of all
Yeah.
time.
You did what you had to do.
Hell of a title though.
Technically, you would think that he would respect you, because like him, you did what you had to do.
Yes, but I'd have to give him the entire story
He would
of
have
what
to tell the
happened.
story.
Yeah.
You'd have to
And
basically say, I'm the Shadow Elf.
Would you be
And
able
explain
to,
why
Would you
and
be
how.
able to explain it from the fact that the master is moving around a world tree and is likely after
Oh, now tell
the
him
dying trees of life?
Yes, that is actually where I'm going to start. Is he has a world tree. He's moving it around and using it as a weapon. And you know what the world trees are.
What you
Is-
find from the council is that something's been killing the trees of life. And
It's probably this guy.
It seems to be getting stronger and stronger as time's going by. And their lay network is shut down completely.
Reindeer down. I just wanted to lean on the table a bit more.
So the
Okay.
the battle that we started has apparently not been going all that well.
Or it's ongoing.
Well, it's still ongoing, but it hasn't done what we were hoping for, which is avoid damage to any of the trees.
Depends on whose perspective you're looking at.
Well, as long as some of the trees actually survive, we can rejuvenate the whole thing.
As long as the home tree survives,
Yes,
the network can be reset.
yes.
That's the key to everything. And the person who controls the home tree controls the elves.
Yes.
Is he controlling the home tree though?
No.
Who controls the home tree?
My clan.
Oh, yeah.
Also, if you want to study anything about the home trees, my family's hometown is where we go.
So yes, you've gotten yourself an audience with them. They do believe that the master's corruption of the world trees is potentially what's killing the network of
Yes.
the trees of life,
Yes.
because they are connected to the world tree.
Yep. That is what I determined as well.
And they believe that if the master gets control of the trees of life, he will basically be able to dominate the rest of the world.
Yep.
Because the trees of life network is all interconnected,
Yes.
and it's got hooks
And-
into nearly every nation.
Yes. And Alfheim has a lot of power
It
for him to
has,
drain as well.
it has 7 of the trees.
Yeah. Excellent. So, from the point of view of defending Alfheim, the borders of Alfheim are meaningless in this case. Fighting must happen where the master is.
So they do debate amongst themselves. It takes about 6 months of debate,
Sounds like elves.
which is rather
Sounds
quick.
fast, very
Fairly quick for them.
Which is rather quick for them, yes.
Yeah.
And through most of the discussion, Beastmaster has been wanting to take the battle to the Master. And pretty much strip Alfheim of all capable fighters.
We should possibly let
maybe not that. That
Beastmaster
is true.
also know about the prophecy involving the general,
Oh, that'll come up.
because that's key in
Well,
terms of.
Yeah, well, because we're bringing everybody together, everybody's going to have to know about that prophecy and
Yeah.
meet the general.
So
So,
glad this is recorded
so-
because Paul said something really cool.
Jack
and I
Emma
was
would
trying to remember
suggest
it, I
that
can
you
always
may not
watch it back.
necessarily want to tell all these
Yeah.
people that Garrican already has someone who prophesies to stop the Master. Because if they've already got someone who prophesies to stop, why do we need to send anyone?
Oh yeah,
Because-
that's a good point. Don't quite tell him that.
No.
Maybe kind of
Okay, be selective in who you talk at.
key.
And a lot of elves would be offended that a non-elf is going
He's
to...
prophesied to
But at the
Yeah,
same time,
right.
you don't want the elves to override him. So you're like,
Yeah.
he's a key part of the solution.
Yeah. He's the one who's presently coordinating and planning the defense of Darrakan,
This is what you say.
and
You are all prophesized to join this great war. This general will be leading you, and your inclusion in this is prophesized to bring the change. Not wrong.
There you go. Drop mic.
There you go.
Is that a drop mic moment? Not
It's a
quite.
good drop back moment.
There you go. Or do
so-
you drop Lance?
if I drop Trident,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
right.
Comes back
Yeah.
up.
well, exactly.
yeah. I can just see you drop Trident. Wait that beat though. You drop the Trident, let it
Yep.
drop a beat,
What kind
and
of
then
true
pick it
warrior
back up.
drops
Well,
a
you
weapon?
pick it back up, you do a cruel twirl, and then put it away.
Yeah.
The main problem with the weapon is if you drop it, it falls.
Yeah, that's
You
the
have to
thing.
throw it.
Like I have to actually
Oh,
throw
good
it.
point.
I can't.
Yeah.
No, but
drop it.
you can throw it like
Would be funny though.
yeah, but you can throw it like that fast.
You could just
I throw
like
it
do a
an
little.
inch. I throw it an inch and it drops.
Me,
and
I was
it
like
comes back up
screwing my
again.
phone today. Accidentally, I was like,
But yes, I will gussy that up,
Natural 20 or 1
make
to
it
save.
nice, and present it as there is a prophecy that there will be a win. We are all required to participate to make this work.
So
Sort of thing.
in the middle of all this work, you hear that the nation of Alphratia has declared war against Galadriel. And it's basically the equivalent of Goliath coming to kill David.
So who declared war with who?
Alphratia declared war with Galadriel.
Is Calpix get any time to talk to the Queen of Darkness at all?
She will.
It can wait till next session if
Yeah.
that's the
I
case.
just
Or
sort of
be
put in the
between.
next bits of notes that are
Yeah.
sort of important for
Yeah,
those
they're-
discussions.
I'm happy to defer.
And as response to this, the Thyatan Empire declares war with the Alphatian Empire,
Okay, so
breaking over 1,000 years of peace.
Alphatia declares war with
Galadriel.
Glantry, Glantri. Then, as a result,
The Thyatan Empire
Thyata declares
war
war.
with Alphatia.
Shit, I'm just going to use those commas. War with who?
The Alphatian Empire.
Alphatin. Alright, and is there another one?
So that basically ends 1,000 years of peace, of Cold War between the two.
Ending. Is it Cold War or peace?
Cold War.
In the sense that Alphatia and Thyatu have been rivals for a millennia,
Yes.
but they've specifically not been at war because a war between Thyata and Alphatia is effectively world war, world-to-world end war type stuff.
Because year 0 of the timeline is Thyatus kicking Alphatia out of the gnome world. That's
So-
what year 0 represents.
Wow.
That's why it's such a big thing. And the third declaration of
I
war
knew there was going to be another one.
is the Haldanic Knights
Okay.
declare war upon Alphatia. and the Alphatia, the Haldanic and the Thiatans aren't seem to be working together in these declarations of war.
Well, we knew there was.
So they declare
Basically
war
lots
with
of-
Alphatia.
And Alphatia didn't declare war on either of those two.
And Galatri hasn't actually declared war on Alphatia.
Yes.
Yes.
And now Alphatia are the big bigots.
They are the biggest bigots around, yes.
Well, certainly from the perspective of anyone who's lived in the known world.
Yeah.
So from Lani's perspective, if they win, she becomes a slave.
Yeah, they hate.
Because you're a non-spellcaster.
Yeah, not spellcaster.
Yeah. And that's
Or is it
not
things?
really something a mid-level diplomat's going to do anything about.
I was gonna say, I think Bonnie was gonna try and wait. I learned sending, and Bonnie was gonna learn prestidigitation just to make sure that's it. But yeah,
Yeah, you learn message.
message that one. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
which one
So
did it? It was
current
like
war in
it's a load
countries
of-
is
Yeah.
they hate them.
Yeah, it's like
Declared
25
war
words
in
or something.
Oh, so I got it in the wrong
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
So
and
This
two
is why-
nations declared war on Alphatia.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
And
by
so-
the way, sorry, for my mother's name, do you want to write it down?
I can.
Just so you've got the name when we get there.
Yep.
Kaelin spelled with a C, so C-A-E-L-Y-N-N.
Yep.
Sorry, the cat's
Yep.
Yeah.
Then Calcrix ends up in discussions with the Queen of Darkness.
Is that correct now?
That is correct, yes.
So, I venture down and see her.
You end up on having an audience with her avatar.
So, audience in terms of role playing for you guys after all of this dry talk, envision Disney with Studio Ghibli, where Herman, the huge Cthulhu-like avatar of the Queen of Darkness, is running towards tiny little Calcrix, who's been backed up by her coffee gnome, seriously running after her because he's seriously losing space. Eep waving her leaves and they have this lovers been parted for thousands of years hug where Calcrix completely disappears amongst tentacles.
yes.
Then suddenly, very abruptly, Herman puts Calcrix down. They pull out their tea set. Their 9 priests come around and start doing coffee and tea preparations.
I love it.
And during this, they both just kind of look at each other like, I want to talk, I want to talk, I want to talk, I want to talk. The priest hands
You need to do the stuff first.
Calcrix her cup of coffee, and they hand Cthulhu his cup of coffee, and they're both like, and the priest finally, doddying old priest, hands over the coffee to Grindelwaffle and the coffee to Eve, and then they just both start talking. It's been so long, how long has it been since I talked to you?
Yes.
And then, after they get that out of their systems, Calcrix looks up and says, "We've got to deal with real world stuff now." And they have a much more serious conversation about what's been going on, and Calcrix talks to Herman about everything she's seen, particularly that last run from that city where they're getting the 10,000 people out and watching these people die. She's like, I know it's only 50 people, but I'm watching them die and I can't do anything about it. I'm not strong enough, but these people that I'm with are trying to help me get strong enough, and I feel that there's nowhere to, I'm just a tiny dragon in the world. None of the big dragons are going to listen to me. No one's, I'm nothing in their thing. They're all busy having their fight, which is an important fight, but I feel like this is an important fight. Like, I know the dragons don't think much of humans and all the other races, but I've spent my life among them, and I know there's been some really, really cruel ones. I was brought up tortured by goblins, but the people who freed me from the goblins were these humans, and these
these elves and these people have always been good and tried to save me, and I just wish there was more I could do.
Well, Queen of Darkness has a long consolatory talk with you and tells you about
It's okay.
various things. And Calcrick sort of realizes that during the conversation, her brewmaster keeps getting smaller, as does it.
Because you're getting bigger.
The brewmaster is getting smaller.
Yeah, they seem to be shrinking.
Does she notice this and go, is he?
And then you notice all the priests of the Queen of Darkness are also shrinking.
And so are the cups.
I see.
Yeah, the cups are also shrinking. Her
Everything's
coffee's
shrinking.
getting smaller.
Calcrix kind of looks at her cup and goes,
I'm gonna need more coffee.
did the priest put something specific in this like they do when they're trying to get me to calm down and go to sleep? Because we both drank too much coffee and we won't stop playing chasey?
Herman just winks at you.
Okay.
You feel a bit stronger too.
I do?
Yeah, you realise you're now no longer a small dragon, you're a large dragon.
I'm a lounge dragon?
You're now 12
grew-
feet
I-
long.
Wow.
Do I have that spell?
Large
bonus
size,
for
not
ability
large
though
dragon.
still? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Because you were working on my spells, so I'm guessing that's one of the spells. Thank you for that.
Calcrix grew.
So Calcrix has grown up and now feels stronger, even if the situation hasn't changed much.
Well, hey, a large
Yeah.
dragon showing up will scare a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
So she's considered a young adult in all the communities from the dragon side of things.
Yeah.
privately she
But
thanks
not a
the
kid. That's great.
Yeah.
Queen of
Not
Darkness
a
for
teenager.
all of her support and comfort, and as always,
What is Calcrix's ratio of white and black scales?
Half off now.
Oh.
Ooh.
And she does say that darkness will never bother you.
oh,
Oh.
that's sweet. Because
And the master will have no hold over you.
Oh, nice.
I was going to say, I suspect that means that, does that mean she's protecting me from the master? Or
Pretty much.
she's made it so that I'm protected from the master?
She's made it so the master cannot affect you.
Affect you. And in a brief, not terribly unexpected moment, normally she wouldn't. She has great respect for the Queen of Darkness. She gives the Queen of Darkness a big Calcrix hug. And hopefully, now that she's a larger sized dragon, that doesn't mean that she squeezes a few ribs too tight. Pretty sure the Queen of Darkness will be able to get over that though.
She also says that
could do this
the
one.
dead won't see you as a threat either.
Oh.
What does that mean?
Things like vampires and liches won't see you as a target.
Calcrix has a very, very brief thought about some things she knows she shouldn't be remembering right now, so she tries really hard not to remember exactly what they are, but also thinks that this
Probably
could
give that big colossus.
That's
could
very
help.
easy.
Well, what actually helps her is that at the moment, and this could be something that could be hopefully conveyed to David in some way, because David's jewel looks very similar to it. Calcrix is able to kind of convince herself she's thinking of that jewel and not one of the Forbidden Two.
But you do believe that your mind is now protected from the influence of others.
That is
Nice.
brilliant news to hear. Thank
Which
you
is
so much.
basically the Queen of Darkness believes in freedom for all, including the undead.
Mhm.
Especially the undead, because that's her particular
Yeah.
stick, whereas Orcus is about obedience, specifically undead. So they're both
I
gods of-
remember though when you talked about me going down this path that there might be at one point where the Queen of Darkness is going to show up and go, I need you to fight Orcus. And she's said way back then, you've always been fair and kind with me. I will fight whatever enemy you need me to fight.
And she says when you have a need, she will send aid your way. Call into the darkness when you need it.
I then have a moment with her and Grindelwafel, and I tell her, Grindelwafel, this is going to be a really horrible war.
and you have always been ready to fight by my side. But if you want to, as you have before, we can leave you here in the sanctity of Yalarum, or you can choose to come with me to go to war. Now, you said as a GM, if I ask him that question, you're the one who gets to decide his answer?
Grindlewaffle is happy to continue travelling with you until he thinks it's too much. Because
just give her as much warning as she can.
For the moment, he wants to help out, and while he can't fight, he can definitely make people's life better.
And he can heal and carry things around, and he does all sorts of good things. Because we've got healing potions in our coffees and our cookies. Everything, you know those coffees and cookies she's feeding you? It's all got like healing things and,
Which is nice.
and all that other stuff. And she knows that Eep is not quite necessarily the entity that can make those decisions, but because she does not believe in slavery.
He gives you a "Hey, come!"
Yep, I'll take that as a good go.
As you realise now, the puppet's more part of Eep than
I look up at the Queen of
has just been
Darkness.
absorbing the puppet.
I look up at the Queen of Darkness. I'm like, is she gonna be okay? Should I be concerned? Should I be taking her somewhere? Therapist, something. You know.
Didn't hit for those.
Maybe to
Exorcist,
sort of
maybe.
both.
No, temple.
She
No?
she believes your little friend will do fine. They seem to have absorbed most of the puppet already.
Yeah.
Just keeps making the puppet appear so everyone else is happy.
That's fine.
Yes. I will.
Okay, so they're all fine to go into battle at this stage.
Yes.
I need to keep track of where they are if we end up on the battlefield. Cause
It is nice because I'll be able to level with my great uncle.
yeah.
It's generally good.
And I'm a large dragon. Yay!
Yeah. The
Is this where I go to fashion stores
Yeah.
now and I'm like, getting large is a good thing.
Absolutely.
the
Size
hey,
of
they'll
clothes.
sell you new collars and stuff. No problem at all. Rings for your horns.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, you do know I'm working on those.
Yeah, I will end up spending quite a lot of time doing what I do regularly anyway, which is basically communing with my various intelligent magic items.
You do find
meditating
from
with
Raphael, he has plans for the Shadow Wolves.
them. What are those plans?
He doesn't tell you.
I had a quick question about Jeremy. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, later. I want to
In
wait.
regard to what's going on,
Take it up.
what are your actions go through?
Thank you.
They're busy elsewhere, he says.
What are they presently fighting? Or preparing for?
He says that's not part of what you need to know.
That's not. That's neat to know. God, don't use that term.
It's a need to know basis, and you don't even
So
know.
you're telling me that it's not worth me talking to the Shadow Elves in regard to the Master? Or is it still worthwhile me doing?
He'll intervene when necessary, but this is after you had that discussion with the king, and how he kept telling you his people were busy, and you spoke to Raphael, and he went, "No, they're busy."
Well, if they're busy, then they're busy.
You do know that there are also bloodthirsty Shadow Wolves from the Hollow World.
Yes, and there are other unpleasantnesses down below. Plus, of course, there's the humanoid tribes.
So they pretty much keep the peace in the Shadowlands, and there's a problem happening in there at the moment that they're trying to stop. A demon incursion.
Right. Well,
Where the god Orcus is one of the ones entering as Jubilix and Demogorgon and a few of the other what are known as the Abyssal Lords, but are actual Immortals of Mystara.
right. So next time I talk to the Shadow King, because I will be going down there, because I've got to talk to Mum and my sister. Because this is about when I'd invite my mum to take over. I will tell him that yes, I understand that you're presently busy. And hope that once
hope
the
your
master is
priorities
dealt with
change soon.
you've succeeded at what you're doing. If we succeed with the master, might be able to get some people to help you. Not necessarily anyone from Alpine, but
We do realise
there are
that
issues.
the technology that Raphael has given the Shadow Elves is probably one of the few things that can harm animals.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell anybody that one.
Which one was that one?
So I'm going to quickly duck to the bathroom. So
yeah,
if Jeremy wants to pipe up about stuff as
Jeremy.
well.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for Lowell to finish.
Yeah.
Are you in the middle of still saying something?
I was going to mention
Yep.
one of the things I was given a long time ago.
Yep.
I want to find if there's any more info about it.
Yep. Do you want to wait for him to come back?
I'm gonna
Because
wait
you
for
need to
him to
ask
come
him. Okay.
Yeah.
My question, Jeremy, was you have what gods, what people from above are motivating you to do what you're doing? Like, does it come from gods you worship, or just your clan's belief, or?
Are you talking for
Like-
Dracnima
Yeah.
individually?
Yeah, so Dracnima, as an individual, he's running around doing all of this thing. You know, you've got Cluel and the Shadow Elf clan and that. And I understand you've got your clan and you've been appointed by them to be a leader and go out to the world. But do gods play any part? Like, you're very religious, you got very upset.
Certainly Atruaghin is like he's God and he's people's God.
Yeah,
And so therefore what he says goes.
yeah,
From a personal, like from an individual perspective,
Yeah.
for Atruaghin.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For Dracnima. Do you remember in the like in character creation, so the fifth ed system that has the personality traits that you might pick?
let's say no.
Ideals, bonds and flaws.
But let's just say I believe what you say. You pick
No.
personality traits and stuff.
Okay, that's fine. But yes.
I wish I had the
Yeah,
memory to
as part of the
remember all of
as
these
part of the
things.
game, you normally do that as part of character creation. Just get an idea of your character initially.
Just
And certainly the ideal that Dracnima had originally.
yeah, I
and
remember
his life
Pettigrew
behind
who
was the
became
idea
no
of
idea.
the greater good.
Yeah,
Yes.
That his lot is to lay down his life in defence of others.
yeah. And so he gets that from his own
from a-
individual belief system.
From an individual perspective, he's always believed
Yep.
that he was supposed to actually do
Yep.
what he can to achieve the greater good.
Yeah,
Now, previously, that has been from the perspective of the Deer tribe and the Elk clan.
yep.
I
Which is
think
where
the other
the
tribes
no
as
idea
well.
came from. Yep.
Yes.
But now that he's been brought into a wider understanding of the world, it became ensured that the Atruaghin clans as a whole
Yeah, it's
were
grown quite a
looked
lot.
after, and he's slowly being forced to accept that actually the greater good of the clans is related to the greater good of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because that's what I was kind of wondering, because you've seen, and it's happening to all of the characters to a degree, but it seems to be that I can remember these more pivotal moments coming across, especially since I started playing as Calcrix here. And I was wondering, you know, that sounds like it's going to have quite an impact on what's going on now. And I was just curious about Dracnima's personal thoughts about that for that moment, but I didn't want to drag down the other plans everyone was making with it. It was just a personal curiosity.
And if it's okay, I was going to go back to Paul and finish what he was saying. I just had to duck.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, it's okay. I'm waiting for that question too, because anyway, because I can spell, because I'm we're based in Darrican as
God, I
a
just
core
realised
thing,
that.
and I'm spending a lot of time there as well. As I said, leveling with my uncle from WaR, spending time with the shape-shifting statue thing that my granddad got me, using it as a meditation focus as much as anything else. Seeing if I can actually find a use for the thing. If it turns out to be something I can use for something like commune or something like that. Yeah.
So yes, you spend some time doing that.
Yep. As I said, communing with my various intelligent magic items, because I do.
Well, you have to, don't you, to keep them all?
I don't have to with the sword, but I generally do anyway, because look, if it's got a mind and can be communicated with, it's good to be nice to it. Plus, the bag, I have to be nice to it, including occasionally feeding it bad people.
Yeah.
And occasionally
Hey, look,
going off.
if we're looking for things from real life, you and I are going to an NDIS office. No, I'm kidding.
And so,
and a couple of times, or a few times, go actually in Alpine, and spend some time with Theala, who's my girlfriend.
You've got a girlfriend?
Yes.
How long have you had a girlfriend?
this is the first time we've had a chance to mention her.
I've mentioned
Oh
it
my
before.
goodness.
I was gonna say for at least the past probably the
It's only a short-term fling. It's only been going for 4 decades.
Hold on. I was in the middle of talking, so I have no idea what Jeremy just said.
So you've had it only going on for 4 decades.
So he said
Yeah.
short-term fling has only been going for decades.
Actually, no, it's shorter than that. There was.
So
I did
it's
have
a
girlfriend-
one-night stand, not
I
even a
did-
short-term fling.
I did have a girlfriend before that, but she ended up marrying somebody else.
Aw.
So I've
Well, she wasn't
known,
lusty, so.
I've known Theala for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So just before I was level 1.
Yeah.
And
she is
if you-
currently the light of your life.
and a bit of a well, in all Alfheim society, it's a little bit of a scandal because she's a wood elf.
Yeah.
And for some
So
people,
you were a
even more
bad
of a
boy that a dad wouldn't let her date.
He's also an elf based out of Alfheim. So he's like the outsider of the outsider.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm a high
Take
elf.
advantage of those
I'm a high elf,
rebellious
she's a
years.
wood elf. She's a druid. I'm a warlock.
This actually sounds fantastic.
I am trying, guys. I do apologise.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
that's
going to have
it,
to get
yeah.
the log off.
Okay, so I'll talk to you more tomorrow, Jeremy.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, I do apologise. I
Take
was trying to
care.
cut off there, Paul, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
think the COVID is catching up with me a little bit. So
Go rest.
Say
go
hi to.
have a good night, and I'll see you guys either tomorrow or next week or the week after.
Sounds
See
good.
you feel better soon.
Thank you, Atruaghin.
Bye bye. And so yes, she does tell you about the druids of Alfheim feeling the forest becoming more savage, less tamed,
Yeah.
and the druids themselves are starting to disappear. No trace.
Sorry.
Wow.
What did you just say?
The druids the forest of Alfheim are becoming more savage, and the druids of Alfheim are starting to disappear with no trace.
So the
Forest
weakening
of
of
Elfing.
the weakening of the trees is having a significant effect.
It is.
Becoming more
Savage.
savage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of concern amongst the druids of what's coming because they can't sustain the environment much longer. There's not enough of them to keep the weather patterns that vitalize the land. And the lack of ley lines has broken sustaining magic that keeps the good places going. So they're starting to fade.
Yeah. So basically, Alpine is starting to fade.
But the bad points are getting stronger.
I'm not surprised.
And so they're thinking that more incursions might start to happen.
In fact, almost all these people almost definitely already have been, maybe why we're losing druids.
Well, they are the target of most of the incursions.
Yeah, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because they keep the forest alive.
Yeah. You
Is
have
there any
taken
way to
us
stop the forest incursions?
But they don't know how to shut the bad points.
Yeah, they're actually, sorry, one thing I was reading, there is actually a way to shut down the bad points. You have to basically shut down the magic in Alfheim to do it. So to have Alfheim be the magical forest that it is, you've basically got to leave the bad points there. It's sort of, the bad points are caused by the same magic that created Alfheim. And a long time ago they determined the only way we can do anything about this is basically keep killing them. Or keep killing what comes through.
And Beast Hunter is one of the best people to do that.
Yep. And I'm presuming Beast Hunter already knows all of this, so he's going to help him because that's a lot of what he does.
He's the one who's sensitive to that entire.
We have had. Sorry, we've performed some actions which should help with the trees. There's a battle that we initiated and recruited for that is presently ongoing to help detect and shush.
She's
Stop
not
helping.
You want to
Stop helping.
tell them when
Stop,
we're about
no.
to recruit them for another battle?
I'm not going to tell them who I agree with.
You did your
The-
recruit at the battle?
All of the heroes of Elven history.
Oh, yeah.
So the people that could actually win the war are currently
Running.
uh,
Who we stole.
part of who we saw.
Can we steal them back now?
Well, no, because they're still
No, they're not
fighting.
done. So we're going to wait until they fight the war they're
You've got
stolen
an eraser
for.
in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If they successfully win against Morgoth,
They'll be
and
back.
they'll be back and can help against Thingy.
If they didn't
But
die.
we can't affect that fight.
No.
Because you gave up that right.
Yes.
You gotta fight. You're right.
Because if he had been in that's all he would have been.
Yep.
And so the next game year is pretty much known as a lull before the storm, where both empires start ramping up their military
I'm
forces.
going to beat you up.
Yep.
So war doesn't technically break out on those sides, but that whole eastern side of the setting becomes embroiled in
Lots of shit.
deception and counter-deception and army build-up as both sides try to undermine each other. Well, they've been at war for over 1,000 years, where they had a Cold War going.
Yeah, and
So Alfati used to control the entire region as part of its nation until they were forced out.
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So-
your entire timeline is based around the fact that they were forced out. Which makes it very significant.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
So good to see you.
You'll be 10th level in a fortnight.
Woohoo! 10th level!
And that may be a short level too.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I think 9
yeah,
was a fairly
'cause
short
there's
level, so like this is definitely a short
Going
level.
to be a lot of crap.
Is it
Ba-
technically a short level if you just die?
Yeah, I did actually think about leaving Hull with that battle and making another character, but you have a lot of stuff invested in what he is and who he is. and that would have messed up what you were doing.
We would have done other things, but
Oh, yeah.
it would have been okay. So what he was doing has to wait until after the battle's finished before the rest of this stuff can
haircut
happen.
off tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's
well,
all
that was the thing. If I'd done it, it would have been
Oh,
that she
whatever
was an
I put my hair,
NPC.
so it's not-
And it,
Well, it used to be like yours.
So I'll put this to end credits.
And you'd want to finally go
He's-
back.